Hi friends, good evening and welcome to IBM TV Med Friday with Doctors. And I'm your host Sanket Khanelwal, joining you from Delhi, India. And we have Jim Mate, our co-host today on IBM TV Med Friday with Doctors. And Jim is from California. Hi Jim, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing terrific. It's a wonderful day in California, and I hope it's good there. And I know
it's too hot there. It's too hot, and we just felt an earthquake. I think an hour ago, and that was around 4.5 Richter scale. And you won't believe, since this year, this would be maybe around 50 earthquakes we have been experiencing so far. It never happened in lifetime. 50 earthquakes.
That's amazing.
And no one understands why it's happening, because it never happened in Delhi. And during this pandemic, things are going heavy, and we are experiencing little different what it should be normally. But I don't know what's happening around. But generally, things are safe. I didn't heard anything on the news that there is some kind of blunder or some calamities happened during the earthquake. But it was a big one. I felt it really bad when I was directing the Mind Closet show from Nigeria, and it was shaking. The system shaking like this.
Well, we were on together when you had an earthquake.
Yeah.
Not that long ago, and so I don't think we're exporting earthquakes from Silicon Valley to you, but it's inexplicable because we haven't had one here, and we're always on edge expecting the next one. But we've only gotten small little things that are little reminders that we're not out of the woods, to keep aware. But so it hasn't happened in your lifetime.
That was surprising, because I don't know. I mean, because we are experiencing a lot of different things during the pandemic, and people are surprised and amazed, and they don't know what to do, because it never happened. So many negativity and bad feelings, and so basically the sentiments are not good. And if you don't have good sentiments, if you don't wake up and feel fresh, there's a lot of things going around. We had a solar eclipse a couple of weeks ago. We had a lot of earthquakes. We have three, big thunderstorms on our east and west coast, and then we have a lot of problems going on our borders as well. And then pandemic. If I give you the number, we are growing like 20,000 people every day with COVID. Although it's a little less than what you have, because last I think yesterday you had around 47,000 people.
50, almost 50. Right.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on basically, but whatever it is, we have to stay alive, and looks like this is a survival year, and then that's how it is. I was reading on Facebook, a lot of people are commenting that they are playing Jumanji, and they are on level 4. They already have covered the half level of Jumanji, because we have finished the half year on 30th June. So still half year left basically, but it looks like a little long now, because 180 days, and it's difficult to pass that time, because you feel that it's almost about to over in June, and then suddenly you see a spike in July. So now that carries till August, September, and we don't know how things will be in place basically. So it's a difficult thing altogether.
Because the first half of the year in the United States, it was not a good first half of the year, and we really thought that things would be getting better, and we were thinking about September as that things would be back to normal, and now it doesn't look like it will at all. So except we were hoping that people could go back to school in September, people could go back to university in September, and now that's all up in the air.
Yeah,
we just don't know how to plan for the future, and that's also unsettling and develops stress in people. And it's a very everybody has got to just say Om and just calm down and relax, because this is something that we cannot control. And so there's nothing that we can do except the things that we can take care of ourselves, like wearing a mask. Do things like that to keep yourself and others safe. And I think
I
if
was reading, I was reading an article today on a paper, and it was all about masks basically. But what happened in the meantime that Delhi, we have created a plasma bank, and
yes,
a lot of people who have been suffering from COVID, they are sharing their plasma so that we can do the plasma therapy more aggressively and more productively. But the article what I was talking about is I'll just show you the article. It says why mask could be worth 1 trillion for US. So why, if we wear a mask, we can make sure that our economy still grows. And also it says that not just you, mask can help you protect the economy too. That's the article.
well, I think that makes sense, doesn't it? If we can get back to work, if everyone's wearing masks, and I think that the economy would follow. So
Yeah.
yeah, 1 trillion for the U.S. I think that I saw that same article, and not in the same paper, but and it was it just makes so much sense. If everybody takes care of themselves and protects themselves and others, then we can go about our business. It'll look a little different, but
Yeah.
you know what's the big deal about wearing a mask? And so everybody's wearing a mask, you don't feel out of place, and then you can go shopping and you feel safe shopping, and then the stores can reopen and people can do business, and then the economy will come back. So it seems safe. It seems simple to me, but we cannot get any consistency in the United States about making people wear masks. If you tell them to wear masks, they get a little uppity about being told what to do, and so we don't have any consistency about people wearing masks. And we had on a man from the UK yesterday, and he was saying pretty much the same attitude. They don't want to wear masks because it's an infringement on their personal freedom somehow. And so we have a lot of psychological hurdles to overcome before we can get in place what is essentially a commonsensical way of dealing with the pandemic. And if we can overcome those psychological hurdles, wear masks, keep people safe, then we can go about our business. And there's no sense, because whenever we reopened, we've seen a surge in spikes, and we've had to shut down again. So this kind of yo-yo effect isn't helping anyone. It's just making the situation worse.
But
So,
I also think that we can create more awareness that people can wear masks. But with the companies who are manufacturing those masks, they also have to take care of that. What are they offering to? Because a lot of companies are doing they just for a sake. They have a paper and then they just cover it with a cloth and they're creating a mask. So we have to make sure that the mask should work well and it should be appropriate. And also I believe that mask is something where we should print, or maybe whenever you start using it, there should be a date of use and date of expiry, because it's
yes.
not that you will wear the mask for a long period of time. Mask will be it depends where are you going and where are you traveling. So suppose if you are taking a bath, so I think you need mask every day. I don't think that you should use the same mask for next 2 days or 3 days or 5 days, because if you're in a bath, that means you are with a lot of people shoulder to shoulder, and
Yeah.
you won't be able to make sure that you will survive, and you don't have that contamination. But that is what I mean. So nowadays there are different kinds of masks available, but I still believe that we need to have some kind of innovation with masks, that how to use it properly, how to make sure that we clean it if we have a reusable mask, and how to maintain your mask. That is very important. And
I
I
think
think
so.
once we have that, and
I think
yes,
that you're talking about educating people on how to wear the
yeah,
mask properly, so to
how to
cover.
how to make it, how to use it, or maybe make a little fashion statement with the mask as well, so that people will be interested to wear it, because no one wants to wear that hat earlier, but now because we have different hats, people would like to wear that hat. Same goes with the mobile phone. Every mobile phone, people buy a cover. Why they buy a cover? I don't know. They wanted to protect the mobile phone. That's why they want to buy a cover. And then if you buy a cover, then you need a stylish cover because it should look different from other people. So if you are doing everything for an object, why you are not make sure that you keep yourself safe and healthy, and make sure that you follow the statement as well, and you make sure also that you maybe give away a lot of masks. I didn't see anywhere around the world that people are distributing masks free of cost. People are distributing ration. People are distributing food, vegetables, fruits, whatever it is. But I didn't see anyone distributing masks.
You
And
know where they're
also,
doing it? They're doing it in Austria and Germany.
okay, I'm not sure. And secondly, generally, what I didn't see any mask ATM as well. There should be mask ATM. You just put the money and then the mask should come in. That's it.
There
Why
are
can't we do that?
kiosks. In some
Yeah,
countries, they have kiosks before you get on the train or before you get
yeah.
on the subway or whatever it is.
And also, there should be a mask waste system as well, where whenever
Yes.
you suppose you are you don't want to use that mask, you just put that in the waste as well, because that is also very important. What I was reading is that so suppose I'm in Delhi and you are in California, there are a lot of people who have COVID cases around. Now you
Yes.
are going out wearing the mask, and then you are bringing that mask at your home.
Yes.
Why don't we put that mask outside our home so that our home is safe? Because you are bringing it back and then you are doing whatever you want to do with the
Yeah,
mask. That
the
means you are
doctors,
inviting. Yeah.
a
So
doctor is saying that he takes his shoes off outside. So
we do the same thing. So
yeah,
it's a lifestyle in India that we put our shoes outside
yeah,
always. But what happens is that nowadays everyone is careful that we are hygiene and all those things. So people bring their food inside as well. But in our lifestyle, if you study India and Indians, we always used to have our sleepers and our shoes outside the home. We have a shoe rack outside the home. Secondly,
right,
we used to sit on the earth to have our food.
right,
Nowadays we have dining tables, but we used to sit at earth to have our food.
right.
If you come to visit India, I'll show you there are a lot of restaurants where you have to sit on the earth to have those food. It's not
Yes.
allowed. Secondly, what we are doing is that we serve the food on a leaf.
On a leaf.
Yeah, on a big leaf,
Yeah,
like banana leaf or
yeah,
anything, coconut leaf. And then
right,
it's all natural, basically. That's what we
right.
do. But what happened is that because of the westernization and globalization of the world, we also are following you what you are doing. And that way we are missing, or we are regretting, or we are forgetting our own rituals, which we have to share with the world, which we are not doing it. And that is same with Ayurveda. You have been on a lot of our shows. I mean, there was a Ayurveda doctor, Dr. Ramesh Warrior. He's from Kerala, and Ayurveda treats you a lifestyle and also try to utilize as much natural things as you can.
Yes.
They don't offer you anything which is allopathy or which is man-made in terms of chemicals and things like that. Although they're not against it, because sometimes for some treatments you need to go to a doctor. But if you've taken
Yeah.
care of yourself generally with natural things, you don't have to ever take a medicine.
Yeah. Your first line of defense is your own immune
Yeah,
system.
yeah, and we're not talking about that. And also you won't believe in February, March, because I am also heading IBM TV Health Channel, and we did a lot of interviews with the doctors before COVID. So my question was to everyone that why are we not talking about prevention? Why I have to visit to a doctor only when I am ill? Why can't I visit to a doctor just to make sure that I'm good and I don't get the disease? Because
Prevention.
yeah,
Yeah.
no one talks about prevention.
Prevention. Yeah. Yeah. And we don't educate our society on prevention.
Yeah,
We educate them on what to do when they're sick. And, so it is a little bit backwards. And I just think that maybe we need a movie with Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant that they're eating with leaves. And, and then everybody would say, oh, that's cool. And start doing it.
and also what I realized, Jim, is that it's easy to share bad practices, but it's difficult to share good practices. And I'm not talking about generally in US and India, but around the world. So
Yes.
if suppose someone wants to eat a gudka or a liquor or a cigarette, it's easy to spread that those habits, because you just have to share a commercial or a video or a mimic or something like that, and people start consuming it. But if I say that okay, let's eat an apple a day, some people will try to do it, and then people will say, okay, I don't want to eat apple today, let's have something else. So I realize that good practices is always difficult to share around the world. But if something is bad or something is vulgar or something is out of the box, people would happily taken care of it. And then they see that we are trying to do the best, and but we are not able to do it, and we have. Then they want a lot of sympathies basically because they're not following the good lifestyle. Lifestyle. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. And I was just thinking, I was reflecting while you were saying, is this something that's hardwired into human nature, that
Yeah.
we are more attracted to the things that are not good for us? But I think when you talk about purifying yourself and from the toxins that we all have, whether it's from the air we breathe or the food that we eat, we know now that everything has corn syrup in it, and corn syrup is not good for us. So,
Yeah.
I've trained myself to look at labels and see what are the ingredients in what I'm consuming. And this is something that is difficult to teach people to do, and but it's easy to teach them to do something that's bad for them. Eat this candy bar, and trick or treat. Let's give everybody candy bars. If you put an apple in, then they'll throw an egg at your house. So there are things that are either hardwired into nature or into society that we need to change. And
And
yeah,
and I also interestingly, I was reading an article about Apple. So there are a lot of companies who understand what's harming the world, and how we can just with one decision how we can change the world. So I'll give you live examples what's happening. So right now, Apple, they are talking about their new phone Apple 12, which
yes.
might be launched in September. Do you know
Right.
what are the rumors right now?
I've heard a lot of rumors about the iOS that's going to come with it,
What is the
5G,
biggest rumor? Biggest rumor you have heard?
5G. No?
5G, everyone knows that 5G will be there.
Okay.
Everyone knows that, yeah. So something
Okay.
which you don't know, or something which is drastically like what? Have you thought about it, or do you know? Have you read about anywhere?
You'll have to tell me. I can't guess.
Okay, so what happens is that so they're talking about if you buy an iPhone, so the iPhone box generally is this big. Okay,
Right.
I'm just giving you some hints so that you will give me an answer. So now, if you buy an iPhone, the box will be like this.
And what about the cord that connects it, that I
That's
power it up?
yeah, that's the question. So there won't be any cord, there won't be any headphone, there won't be any charger. What's your reaction?
Well, it seems like it's good on the surface, because who wants all these wires and cables? And but then what's powering it? How am I getting it powered?
Okay, now,
And
so I'll
so
tell you.
when I
So,
think
so
about
you
that,
understand. So you understand that there is a problem, but still you need something to make sure that your phone will get charged.
right?
Okay. Now the problem, I'll tell you what happened. So I have this is the fourth iPhone I'm using right now. Okay, and I have four chargers,
Yeah.
four I mean the cables, and I have four headphones,
Yeah.
and
I
all of the and most of them are in the box. I haven't
Oh,
used it.
really?
Yeah, because I'm using the same one since a while, and that is working. So why will I have more? Although what I did is I have one in my car, one at my office, and one at my home.
Yes.
But still, I have a couple of more.
Right. Yeah.
So now,
In the box.
yeah. So now, what Apple realizes that they are creating. I mean, I don't have the data that for how many years or for are they talking about 1 year or whatever it is. But the data says that if they manufacture those cables, those plugs, and those headphones, which people don't use it because a lot of people who have iPhone they buy an iPhone and they tend to use the old one because the old one is working fine.
Right.
So that means they're creating a lot of wastage, e-waste, which is not being used. And when they throw their boxes, they never realize that that box contains an electronic gadgets,
I
and they
just
just throw away.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay,
very true. I
and
have some.
now
Go ahead.
the real situation is that if you collect that e-wastage of Apple, which is not being used, that is around 300,000 tons.
Yeah.
300,000 tons. That is in one of the articles. I can give you the source basically. So one of the YouTubers they follow and they talk about Apple and things like that. So they were reading an article on their YouTube video, and it says that Apple have this much amount of waste which they create and which they can avoid basically. So now what happen is that if they don't, come if you don't get a charger or anything like that with the box, that means you are saving a lot of things. And then if you require, you can add it whenever you want to buy an iPhone, or maybe you can order it and you'll get it delivered next day.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. And
Oh.
but now the question is that would Apple be reducing the pricing for this? Because if you count all those equipments, that would be around $90 or so, including all the equipments. So if Apple is ready to, come down with the price, that is also a good thing because you are saving $100 on your pocket as well.
Yeah. It's like
So
Lynn says, win-win.
yeah, win-win. So now, so that is something which a company is thinking about it, on making sure that some people would say what, and some people will accept it and understand what is the situation and how it hampers to the environment, and they will take care of it. That I can use one charger for like 10 years.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so there's a lot of good thing on.
This charger is connected to my computer, and I bought probably three phones, 3 generations of phones, and it still use this charger. But the other idea is that they came out with the iPro, the iPad Pro, and that uses a different charger.
Yeah.
So this won't work with it. So it's obsolete sometimes when you upgrade.
So that's a different strategy where they wanted to make sure that they're coming up with different wiring so that people will buy more. But I think eventually what I understand is that we should have one universal charger for all the phones. That's what I understand.
Yeah, why not?
And also what I see as an innovation is that if I have this phone, I can just change the RAM or I can just change the CPU and I will use the same phone. Why will I buy a new phone?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of still innovation required, but every time whenever Apple comes or Google comes with a mobile innovation, we feel that this is a big innovation. So sometimes they just add 1.2 or sometimes they add an innovation which is 3.0. So it all depends how people will take it, but everyone is looking forward for those innovations. And Apple just had a launch a couple of weeks ago about their new OS and new iPad Pro and all those things. But now they're coming up with a bigger announcement in September. So, but what I'm trying to say is that a lot of companies are understanding the issues and how health is affecting on a longer period of time, and they have started talking about this and taking the right steps. And once Apple do this, a lot of companies will follow the same pattern and make sure that we don't misuse or just create added accessories which is not being used by anyone else.
And think of all the resources that went into creating all those cords, those power chargers that are now, what did you say, 300,000 tons of waste?
Yeah.
So this is mind-numbing to think about that amount of material that is not used, that has been produced for no reason. So
that is what I mean. I was surprised to read it, but then I did some R&D and understand that because I also did the same thing, and a lot of my family members are also using the same old charger.
Right.
So that means we are not using the new one, and then that new one is just a backup. But how many backups you have? I have 4 backups.
I probably have 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So that means we are not, doing something good with the environment, and we should talk. We should take those steps and think about what is not useful and make sure that we throw that out. And I'll tell you one more thing. If you understand the concept of, I forgot that science, it says, I'm not able to, I will just remember what is it. But what it says that if you are living in a home and if you are not using a product or anything for 6 months, you have to throw that out. Because if you are not using for 6 months, that means you have a lot of pressure and you don't have that air ventilation going around your house, and that creates a lot of negativity. To make sure you are positive, you have to keep using it. because if something is idle for some point of time, that means that product is not in transaction and you don't need it. So whenever you need it, you can buy it again, basically. But it's a matter of keeping your head light and keep the ventilation going on and keep the process going on. That is what life is all about. And I'll give you the science name because the Vastu. So that called Vastu.
Okay.
It's one of the Indian sciences we have apart from Ayurveda, where they talk about how you can be more positive and how you can bring back positivity at your home. Just doing some basic tweaks and tricks. Because a lot of people, what they do is they don't open their windows. If you open a window, you'll have a fresh air in your house, and that create a lot of environmental benefits for you and your family and for the world as well. And then it also, passes by the negativity, because a lot of people would like to live in a closed atmosphere, and that means there is no circulation going on.
You know, you're really making me think, because as you were talking, I realized that I have a charger in my master bedroom, in my office, in my living room, and also in my kitchen, because I'm so lazy. Wherever I am, I want a charger. Okay, you know, so it's like, and I could really reduce my footprint as far as that's concerned.
So
And
what I do, Jim, is that I make sure that all the power points would be off if I'm not using it, including television, including my computer, everything. Because a lot of people, they just make it open. I mean, it's open 24/7. I believe that if you're not using anything, we should have to close it. And then secondly, there are a lot of people who put a charger. Charger is by default on, and that if you have a kid in the family, that is very dangerous for the kids, because the kids can take it in your mouth, and it gives them a big current. So I make sure that if I'm not using any power equipment, that should be off, including my laptop.
but what in India, with the temperatures the way they are, don't you have to run air conditioning?
We have air conditioning in every room.
Yes, I would think that's almost, you have to. And so what, I'm just trying to think out loud about the circulation that you were talking about, which I'm really a big fan of. And does air conditioning hurt or play a role in that?
So I'll tell you what happened is that in India we don't use air condition 24/7. Although you can use whenever you want, but generally what people does is they use it at night and sometime in the afternoon and evening time. But they make sure in the morning and evening they open their doors to have fresh air.
Yes.
That's and that's I won't say that's a lifestyle or that's something which we follow, but that is a part of our religion as well. Because I don't know, everyone will open their gates once maybe twice a day to make sure that you will get fresh air. And when you do that, you have to shut down your air conditioner.
Right.
That's it. Because we don't have that. A lot of places we don't have central air condition. We have individual air condition which we can put it in a window and then just use it whenever we want.
Right.
So that way, you can have fresh air whenever you want. Today the temperature was more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
But we have air condition on since afternoon. In the morning, we were living without air condition just to make sure how the temperature works. And also, I don't know. Maybe our family, but we don't want to be on air condition every time, because if you go out, you have a hot weather, and then you come back in the room, it's a cold weather. So
And
that
you get
also,
cold. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
that
not
is
good.
also, yeah, it's not good for health. So there are a lot of ways which make sure that we follow the right thing. And you won't believe, during this 100 degrees Fahrenheit, we are not drinking refrigerated water. We have an earthen pot, basically. It's made out of mud, and that pot, if you put that water, it cools the temperature, it cools the water, and it gives you that earthy feeling with minerals and all. And most of the Indians are doing it because we believe in India that if you have hot water, if you have cold water, it will give you your tonsils, or maybe it will affect your uh, cough and cold, and then that is also inviting you to have COVID, because COVID strikes to those people who have problem with their cold and cough, and who having who are suffering from a bad cold and things like that, and also it reduces immunity. So we make sure that we are not drinking those refrigerated water, most of the Indians. And also I told you last time that I won't have the number, but maybe more than 50% of India. That means we are 1.3 billion. So half of the population are having a spice hot water. It's like a hot water spice basically. We put a lot of spices,
Turmeric,
including basil, including
basil.
pepper, including ginger, and then couple of more, maybe cardamom as well. And then we just warm it for a bit, and then we have it. So we call it kada, and that gives you a lot of immunity booster and make sure that your whatever viruses or whatever things you have, that will not spread in the body, and it will drain out.
So you boil it and then you let it cool and then you drink
No,
it.
no, 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 no. Cool. Only once you boil it, just make sure that you filter all those things and then just have it. So it's like a short tea, or maybe a tea shot basically, with
Right.
half of half cup, and then just have it.
Okay.
And half of the population are doing it. If you want, I can give you a brief one. Whenever I'm cooking it, I'll make a live video, and then you'll understand how we are doing it. But that is not just because of COVID, but generally whenever we are in a I mean cold weather or a cold temperature, or someone is suffering from very I mean something called influenza or other diseases, so we generally take those things basically
Right.
to make sure that we follow our immunity and the immunity boost accordingly. And also, we do a lot of turmeric latte to make sure turmeric, because turmeric is a natural antiseptic. So
Right.
there are a lot of things we follow in India to make sure that immunity will remain constant, and we we keep ourselves healthy, and avoid all those viruses which automatically develops in your body once you have bad food and things like that. So
And once
it,
you have monsoon season, you also get other fevers and other
yeah,
things.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so that helps against all of those.
yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
And yeah, and
Well, I've been taking
basil
turmeric
and
milk
basil
every day.
is something which is one of our a part of our religion as well, because basil, we believe that is one of the purest leaf we have, and that cures a lot of things. So we put basil in our water as well, in our milk as well. Whenever we want, we'll use it, and you can consume it like that only.
Yeah. No,
So that
these are
is what.
good things, and these are not widely done in the United States.
Yeah,
There's a certain amount of awareness about this, and there are people that are very um, disciplined about doing that. But for the average Joe, it's get a cup of coffee at Starbucks and then go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac and some fries. So it's all fried and it's not healthy food at all.
yeah,
But the other thing is what you're describing is not expensive.
yeah. It's not expensive, and you can have those plants at your home. So you won't believe, in most of our families, we have a basil tree at our home. So the first tree, or a first pot, what we plant at our home, that is basil.
Yeah.
And then we pray against basil as well, because basil, as I told you, it's a part of a religion as well. So we pray against basil, because we believe that it's one of the god. And then we just put a lot of water, and then there are a lot of rituals around with basil as well.
Right. Right.
And whenever
Yeah.
we have solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, we make sure that we consume basil.
Because one of the things that we have is income inequality, and so the poorest people have the least access to healthy food. And so what you're making me think of is instead of a fast food restaurant on every street corner, they would have some access to spices like you described, the turmeric, the basil,
Yeah,
cinnamon, ginger. And if they could afford, because those are affordable, if they could have access to them, then they could drink more healthy, or drink and eat more healthily, even
yeah,
if they are low income. But
So
how do we get those ingredients to those people? That's what I see as the obstacle here in the United States. If I
I
live,
think it's more about awareness because because see we don't have that big backyards and things like that in India. Not everyone has a backyard or a front yard, but you have a lot of land in US. But it's just that you don't grow those plants which is good for health basically, or you don't have that awareness. Maybe
well,
that's
that is part of it, but also if I live in a densely populated area, I'm low income in a densely populated area, I don't have access to a front yard or a backyard either.
okay.
Um, so, I can't plant these things. I have to be able to buy them someplace, and um, that's I think what we're missing is the accessibility because most of the low income people that I'm talking about are densely packed together. Um, because if you live in Kansas, we had a guest from Kansas, Dean Pratt, and she was talking about, it's a low density state. There's lots of land and not as many people. So maybe just by building their awareness, Kansas will be fine. But if you talk about New York City, you talk about other urban communities, they just don't have access to
No, but
those.
if you don't have an access that basil plant, you can put it in a small pot and then put it at wherever you have sunlight, and it will automatically grow the way they want. And then there are a lot of tricks around to make sure that your plant gets a lot of water. And there are a lot of tricks on YouTube and all as well. Suppose if you're traveling around, so how you make sure that your plant get water.
Right.
So there are a lot of tricks around, and I mean the basic tricks basically. But it's just that we have to create more awareness to produce our own food,
Yes,
so that at least
I agree.
we can survive. And then if you still need more, you can go out and buy those things.
Right. Well,
And
I think the awareness is the first thing,
yeah,
and then access is the second thing,
true.
and uh, self um, self awareness that this is necessary to be healthy, and then also the building uh, the individual's opportunity if they don't have access, what they can do at home,
Yeah,
even if they only have a little bit of space. They can still probably grow a basil plant.
yeah.
And if they need turmeric, we have to figure out a way to get them turmeric.
So
And
turmeric is also it's mostly underground basically. So there are a lot of food which is grown underground like potato. So turmeric is one of them, but I'm not sure whether it's available in your part as well. But if you have seen ginger, have you seen
yes,
ginger?
yes,
So turmeric is like a ginger, but
right,
it's completely yellow in color and with a
right,
different trait. And then we what we do is we use turmeric like the raw turmeric, and then we make sure that we create a turmeric powder, and then we use that powder in a lot of our food while cooking. It gives you good color and it gives you good health and wealth and everything basically.
of course, the dish we call biryani.
Yeah, we know that biryani.
Yeah.
Biryani,
So,
biryani is one of the popular dishes in India.
okay, because that's what I always order when I go to an Indian restaurant.
Which
And
biryani do you order?
I usually get the lamb.
Okay, but do you know how to cook biryani?
My wife has done it, and it seems like too much. It's too work intensive for me.
And in India, if you visit to India, we have different varieties of biryani. So biryani means a special recipe which we cook it with a lot of different vegetables and curries and spices. But
Right,
generally with rice, we cook a lot of rice in different varieties around India.
right, right.
So biryani,
So,
but biryani is one of the popular ones.
right. So biryani is rice based, but it's the it's the yellow color that it's
So the
attract.
yellow color which you have in biryani, that is turmeric, as well as some people use kesar, saffron. So if you put saffron, have you consumed saffron earlier?
Yes, yes.
So saffron, yeah,
Yeah, and so that's also another spice that's in that dish.
yeah,
And do you have a lot of saffron in your cooking?
yeah. We do a lot of saffron as well, but saffron is a premium spice because we don't use it on day-to-day basis. But
Ah,
we use it in our sweets. We use it when we have maybe what I can say a special milk. If you want to have a special milk, hot milk, you put a lot of dry fruits and saffron, and then a lot of saffrons are used in the ice creams and a lot of other dishes as well.
I
But
see.
if you put one saffron in your milk, it gives you a orange yellow color.
Right, right.
That is also one thing which we use it on. And maybe a lot of people use it in. We consume a lot of pan, basically a petal, a leaf petal, which we put a lot of different varieties of spices and sweet and I mean, I'm not sure whether you had it earlier. But I think in California there's a pan lounge in California somewhere. I'm not sure. Have you been to Amber restaurant in California? Amber.
I don't think so. It
Okay.
doesn't ring a bell.
It's one of the popular in California. And if have you been to Moscone Center?
Yes, yes.
So it's near to Moscone basically. It's right behind Moscone Center, Amber Restaurant. I forgot the street name,
I
but
know
it's
what
one
you're
of the
talking
popular
about
ones.
now. Yes. Yeah.
So if you go there, you have that pan petal shaped thing. They serve that pan basically.
Okay. All right. How about chia seeds or chia?
Chia seeds is
If
also very popular. I mean, we are having chia seeds since a while. Nowadays, what we are doing is we are putting a lot of chia seeds in our juices, fresh
yes,
juices, and that is good for health as well.
that's what I make a smoothie and I
Yeah,
add fruits and I put chia seeds in it as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
And I also have I use oat milk and turmeric and chia to half and half kind of thing. Uh,
Okay.
I drink that every day too.
Wow.
So, um, yeah, and that's basically because of IBM TV. I never did that before, and
Really?
now I do it every day.
Wow. I We generally have a lot of smoothies in summertime, and mostly it's mostly it's mango based smoothies, but generally we have a lot of other smoothies as well. And
Yeah,
chia seeds is one of the popular ones. But apart from chia, we use a lot of mint, ginger, and maybe some carrots. Carrots are not available right now, but maybe something to mix with those smoothies to make a different taste altogether and
yeah.
consume it. And then we put a lot of almonds and a lot of cashews as well.
Yeah, yeah. I use blueberries mostly because blueberries are very tasty for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and but that's like kind of the first thing I put in.
Okay.
But I also
Have you consumed cumin seeds?
cumin seeds. Um, I don't know if I have anything in my daily diet that has cumin.
Okay. So cumin, I'm not sure what you. So okay, I'll tell you. So have you consumed those? What you can say French fries, chili French fries. Have you consumed it? Chili. What you can say chili fries something.
Yeah, yeah.
A potato. So that's available in most of the Chinese restaurants. You have that chili potato.
Yes,
So
yes.
once you consume the chili potato has two, three more variants. One of them is cumin seeds, and the other one is
Chili.
green onion,
Green
and then
onion.
we have one more thing with that. So cumin is part of chili potato, but cumin is also very, good for health, and we consume it like anything. I generally use a lot of cumin to make sure my dish get a texture and get some kind of so suppose if I'm cooking something which is softer, so I put a lot of cumin to make a texture balance and create a crispiness as well. So that's how I use cumin seeds.
Okay, I can get that. I can
Because
definitely.
I generally cook a lot, but during this 3 months I'm not cooking that much because of IBM TV and other other work I have to do.
Right.
But generally I cook a lot. That's why I have basic knowledge of how what to consume and what not to, and how we can make sure that we have a good healthy food for everyone, and that's what the objective is all about.
And what about the chili peppers? Because that's also very popular in Chinese restaurants around here?
So chili peppers, we have a lot of different varieties of peppers. Chili peppers, we have a pepper which is without chili.
Yeah.
So you can have it just like this. There is no chili flavor in that basically. And but that what we use to cook and create a lot of snack with that. We put a flour and put some lot of potatoes and then fry it and then have it. So there are different varieties of chilies, including jalapenos, including red chili, saucy chili, and things like that. And then we create a lot of pickles out of chili as well.
Right. Right.
So we also consume a lot of chilies in India.
Yeah, I can't tolerate the really hot ones.
Okay.
But I and also I wanted to ask you that because it seems to me that all the advice that I get is to have black pepper with turmeric.
Black pepper, yeah. Black
Somehow
pepper is very important.
Does it activate the turmeric so that you could absorb it better or something?
So black pepper, I mean, black pepper won't go with turmeric in a milk, but if you take it separately, it's good. But black pepper is good if you consume it in any of your food. It's good for health. So whenever I cook, I don't use red pepper. I use black pepper. And I use red pepper just for color, but I don't want to use red pepper. I use black pepper, I use ginger, lemon, and all those other things, which is good for health. I avoid mostly avoid red pepper.
Right. So
But black pepper is something which I like. If you want to have a toast, just have a cream cheese or maybe a hummus or whatever you want, and put some black pepper, and then just put it a bread, and then just have it.
yeah, it sounds tasty as well as good for you. Yeah.
And whenever I cook pasta and things like that, so I use a lot of black pepper in that as well.
Right. Right. Yeah. So these are things that are inexpensive and pretty easy to prepare. So I think your point about the awareness of how valuable they are to your immune system and to your health in general is well taken. Because we tend to think of things by taste rather than by health.
Yeah.
And if I always used to say if I can if it tastes good, I can't have it. But it's not true. I mean, you can make tasty things that are healthy too. But everything
the idea, Jim, is that if you want to consume something healthy, we can create that tasty as well. So taste is nothing but which is give you a good feeling to your tongue.
Right.
And so if you ask me what is my good taste or tongue basically, so I like a lot of things which is in nut form basically. So I like a lot of nutty things, but little bit chili as well. And when I go to a lot of different places to create a lot of chocolates or coffees or ice creams, so I visited one of the Kit Kat shops in Melbourne, and there what you can do is you can create your Kit Kat. You can pick your chocolate, you can pick your ingredients and create a Kit Kat. So I asked the lady that I wanted to create a chili chocolate. Do you have some chili? She said we don't serve chilies. So I said you are losing a taste basically, because what I do is that have you tried Szechuan sauce?
Yes, sure. It's very tasty.
And what about Nutella?
What about
Nutella?
I don't think I do.
So chocolate hazelnut kind of spread. It's available. It's called Nutella. It's popular among kids.
My niece is a big fan of that. She just loves it. Yes.
What I generally do is whenever I want to change my taste bud, I take a bread and spread a Nutella.
Yes.
Another bread I take and spread the Szechuan, and then create a sandwich and then toast it. So when it comes out, it's like a chili chocolate sandwich.
That's great.
And I like the taste because it's chili as well as chocolate, and it's tastes lovely to me. And also what I did a lot of time is that whenever we have a pastry or an ice cream, I put a lot of nuts, chili nuts, to have that flavor of cold chili flavor as well. So I try to create a lot of flavors to make sure It's give you good texture, a good feeling, and a good new flavor as well. And if so, did you try? So, what kind of flavors do you like?
I was going to ask you. One of the
Okay.
things I like is the bitter taste, and not everybody does, but I like the really dark chocolate.
No,
And
dark chocolate. I also like dark chocolate.
yeah,
I also like dark chocolate, but sometimes so suppose sometimes I don't like one flavor. I want multi flavors to be in my mouth.
okay,
So
yeah,
dark chocolate is always good, but if we can add something with dark chocolate, maybe a mint syrup with a dark chocolate, it gives you a different feeling altogether.
okay, yeah. I also every day drink some ginger beer. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and that's the kind of taste that I like. The ginger, the bitter, the something like
Yeah.
that. I even have bitters, so that if I just make something plain, that's relatively plain. Like I usually make a drink that's a little bit of pomegranate juice,
Okay.
some sparkling water, and a little bit of bitters, and
Okay.
yeah, and so that's my festive drink. If people are over and they're drinking wine and other things, I have a
So I think
festive.
what I can suggest you is that whenever you are creating a mocktail, so try to take a lemon. Okay, don't
Yeah,
cut it, just squeeze it, and then maybe the outer part you just have to grind it, or maybe just a little bit flavor, so that you will have
some
those better
zest.
flavor. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, get the lemon zest. Right.
So that gives you a great flavor as well.
Yeah.
Have you tried fennel? Have you tried fennel? Fennel.
Fennel, yes, yes, but not. That's not a daily thing for me.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
yeah,
fennel is a good taste for me.
yeah, good taste. Yeah. So we use a lot of fennels as well in our cooking. And what I do with fennel is that whenever I having a vanilla ice cream, I put a lot of fennels on the top of it, so it gives you a fennel taste.
That's cool. I'm
So
writing down all these suggestions, by the
I,
way.
I try to do a lot of experiments with the taste and make sure that you have different tastes whenever you. I mean, so what's your favorite drink apart from cocktails?
Uh, let's see. I have ginger beer every day. I have the turmeric and oat milk every day. Um, and then I have the pomegranate and sparkling water with the little bitters every day. So those would probably be and sometimes just straight sparkling water. But you know what? I do refrigerate it. So
Okay,
maybe I should just have it room temperature.
yeah, I think. But what you can do is, whenever you want to consume something, put that glass in the refrigerator for half an hour, and the glass is cold, and then now you can consume it.
There you go. That's great. Yeah, yeah. That
So
is
there are ways to do it. There are ways to make sure that how you can have a good good drinks. What I like is that I like mojito. So I tried a lot of different mojitos with different flavors. That is something which I like. I can have it at any point of time. I'm not a person who drinks a lot of liquor. Not a lot of liquor means I don't drink liquor at all.
yeah, me either. Yeah.
Yeah. But mojito is something which is good, and apart from that, I like a lot of pineapple-based drink as well, pina colada and things like that, which is also good for your health as well, and it gives you a good taste. But one of the drinks I had it in Indonesia. I don't have that name right now. That is something which is sweet as well as lemony.
Oh,
So if you drink it, it's sweet, but you have a gist of lemon as well. So I
right.
mean, it was a good and interesting drink to have it. But whenever you go around in different countries, you will find some interesting drink to have it. But on the top of the list is coffee. So I really like coffee. I can have different varieties of coffees, and coffee is something which I can't avoid. If I don't drink a coffee in a day, it feels like I there is something missing basically. And
I
I believe
agree.
in coffee helps you. Start creating or connecting to the world. You can have a conversation over a cup of coffee to anyone in the world, basically. And
Yeah.
coffee connects humanity and people, because
Yeah.
tea is also the same thing. But a lot of people don't have tea. but they can have different varieties of coffee. So
Yeah,
I'm
my wife
experimenting.
is more of a tea drinker, but
Yeah.
but she drinks coffee in the morning to get
Yeah.
going, and then she switches to tea. But
So I
and I'm only coffee in the morning because otherwise it affects my sleep. It seems to me if I have it too late in the day, it's not good for my sleep.
yeah.
But
But
I can't. It's hard to imagine starting my day without a cup of coffee. That one
coffee is
time,
something which I want to innovate, and I'm still experimenting with a lot of different flavors in coffee to make sure that we have different flavors altogether. I want to learn the art of coffee making as well professionally, uh, because I'm very much keen to know what is it all about. And coffee is something where I what I realize is that a lot of people they take beans and then they process coffee, and there's a lot of wastage as well, which
true.
people are dumping it. But I
Yes,
think that that wastage could be useful. We can create a lot of things with that coffee waste as well, including a hair dye, and including a lot of candies with coffee flavors. And also you can have a coffee spa. There are a lot of things can be done with coffee, but I don't know why people waste those coffee just like that only. So
yeah. It's another thing that I think that we just have to change our way of thinking about things. Things
yeah,
that we think of as waste products now have uses. And we now one of the benefits of the sheltering in place is that people are starting to look at their lives a little bit different. You know, they were all hustle and bustle, on the go, and now you really can't be like that. You can do it through Zoom meetings, but you know, there's still not. It's not the same as running around all the time. And so you have time for contemplation now that was missing before. And you can think about these things. Well, why am I throwing that out? Is there a use for it? And
yeah,
so people are, their creativity is now flowering in ways that in the past hustle and bustle life, they weren't. So I think that a lot of these things that you're pointing out, all these, hundreds of thousands of tons of waste, that
yes,
that is just um, such a, it's not quite a tragedy, but it's almost to that point that
yeah,
we're so wasteful in the way that we misuse the resources that we have. Um, and instead of thinking of them as a precious commodity, we think of them as a consumable that we can just take what we need and throw away the rest. Then we have to have a different mindset in this point, because if we don't, uh, Mother Earth is going to visit other pandemics on us until we learn this lesson.
certainly, certainly.
Yeah. So
I think so. We have to have the best practices around, because a lot of people can help us in, I mean, reusing those things, but we are not promoting those. And we always talk about the billion-dollar innovation and things like that, but we are not talking about a basic solution, which is happening somewhere in the world. But it's just that because there is no money involved, so no one wants to talk about it.
well, that's if Nick was on right now, he would be talking about where's the money in it.
So that's happening around on a different show, Financial Friday,
Yeah.
right now, which Nick is doing it,
Yeah.
and we have Dr. Kula joining us.
Oh, Dr. Tula.
Good evening, sir.
Good
How are
evening.
you doing?
Good evening. Good
Now we
evening.
have a
All
real
well,
doctor.
all well. How are you, Jim? All well?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, yeah. So your smile tells it all. The smiling Jim is all well.
That's good, sir. That's good.
I
How
I
are
was
things? How are things at your end?
yeah.
So, I mean, the status quo is maintained, and I don't think that's bad in the sense that, I mean, so the society where I'm living, so we've got around total of around 8 to 10 cases, I think, till date.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's what it is, and it's still holding on. So, I think, I mean, that's what it is. So, I mean, we are there only with the status quo maintained on that, which I don't think is bad in the sense that the numbers are not increasing that drastically this side, which is good for us.
Well, we tried to open up in various states, and we saw a tremendous spike. And so now we're closing down again. And I think this yo-yo effect is having a very bad psychological effect on us, and we're feeling a little bit helpless. right now.
So, Jim, basically, the biggest problem with the opening up is not that the opening up per se is not the problem. It is our humans' behavior towards opening up. Because the time things open up, we just throw caution in the wind. So, it's a simple thing. We need to just get some common sense dragged into our minds that opening is not that we are corona free. And that, I guess, yeah, that I guess no one seems to be understanding. I don't know why people don't understand that simple, basic thing. That is that when things open up, that does not mean that the coronavirus has vanished. It is just that you need to be even more cautious. Unfortunately, what I see over a period of time, even through the social media platforms and all that, is that there is this sense of bravado which is going around. Now, there is a very thin line between bravery and stupidity. Unfortunately, I mean, that's what the bottom line is. So you need to be brave, but you don't need to be stupid. You need to be smart.
Yes. And our line is actually much closer to bravery. There's a lot of stupidity and not so much bravery.
Yes.
So,
So
but it
we
is
need
a
to be
thin
very,
line.
we need to be very careful because I've seen a lot of posts going around where some people who have recovered, they're writing. I don't know whether that is real stuff or is it really some handle working somewhere to write their post and all that. The impression which I get out of it is they're telling people to go out and not be afraid. I would be on the other side telling people that you should be afraid,
Yes.
because if you are afraid, then there is a chance that you will adhere to the guidelines strictly. And if
Yes.
you're not going to be afraid, then I don't think you lose the battle there only because you're not bothered.
Well, we have a saying, I don't know if you have a saying in India like this, but we say discretion is the best part of valor. And
Yes, yes. See,
and
even in battles, the basic dictum is always respect your enemy
I
and
agree.
know your enemy,
Yes.
right? So you need to know your enemy and you need to respect your enemy. No battle can be won without knowing your enemy.
Well, and one of the things that we're running into knowing the enemy is that it's a novel virus. And so we get conflicting information about it. And because
Yes.
people are learning constantly more about it. And so what's told to us at the end of February is not what's told to us at the end of June. And so it's caused a lot of confusion. And I'm only speaking about the United States now, but a lot of people say, well, you told me this, now you're telling me that, forget it. And we throw our hands up.
So, Jim, that is why if it is an evolving situation, we need to understand. We need to. If I talk about the financial things, maybe you can. Compare it to some kind of a stock market. Now, you can have a lot of assumptions, but apparently, every stock you trade is not going to go up.
That's correct.
So you need to understand. This is what people need to understand, that they see it's not only for them; they have to be responsible for others also.
Yes.
But I feel that really over a period of time, even in our part of the world, I see. I generally like to have a morning walk or something. I do take all precautions using mask and everything. But what I see all around is people are roaming around, especially the vendors and all who are coming into the society to deliver a lot of things, like the guys who are delivering milk or vegetables. I hardly see a mask, or even if I see a mask, it is on the neck. It's not covering the face. Even the domestic helps which are roaming around, I mean, it just seems that no one is bothered that what is going on. And I am, and my caution or the word of advice to everyone is that if you don't do this, this virus will not go anywhere. The situation will only become from bad to worse.
And we're
I
seeing that.
completely, yeah.
Because
We're
at this
seeing.
moment we know something about it. It'll continue to change and it'll continue to evolve. And today we may be talking this, tomorrow we may be talking something else.
Yes.
And this is how it is going to go on and on and on. And unless and until we have a magic bullet or a vaccine, which also doesn't look, I mean, though these all kinds of stupid WhatsApps going around or on social media things going around, we'll have it within 1 month, 2 months. I don't think anything is coming within 1, 2 months. I don't see it coming. And I really would suggest people also not to forward these kind of posts, because they are just going into a situation where they are just giving you a kind of hope where there is no hope. And that is a wrong way of, I mean, projecting science. We should be
Yes.
realistic. Optimism does not mean that we start conjecturing our own stories around science. I don't think that's the way around.
Okay. Everything you're saying certainly adds up and resonates with me. But there still seems to be a great leap from the logic and the truth that I'm hearing from you and the general sense of what's going on for the average United States citizen. Their reality is different from what you're talking about, which seems to me like the truth. The true nature of the beast is that it is changing, and that what we knew in February is not what we know now. And what we know now might not be what we know in September. And we as a society seem to be less than ideal at processing that kind of information. We want simple answers.
Yeah, so what we should always keep the game simple, right? So simple things are easily understood, and all the information should be kept as simple as. And what is so simple about telling people to wear masks? I don't understand. I mean, that's the simplest thing which you can tell. What is more simple than telling people that you have to remain at a distance of at least minimum 2 meters from each other? Is there anything complex in that?
And there's not.
What is more simple than telling people that don't venture out unless and until you're really required to go out? Even if you don't dine for a, why not dine for a period of a month or 2 months? I mean, see, what is more important? Is life more important, or is wining dining more important?
Yeah. And what Ankit's showing us is that if we did what you're talking about doing, our economy would bounce back. Because
These are all simple things. I mean, I don't understand where is anything complex in that. These are basic steps which each citizen has to do it, right? Because if they don't do it, ultimately we're all going down.
yeah. Well, one of the problems we have.
There is one more thing. What happens is that if suppose you follow something, if you start doing something, I want to follow you. Maybe you are doing good or bad. So that's happening in India and around the world, because now since last week I've listening that a lot of people are going on vacations, and I was like, vacations at this point of time? I don't understand. But they're going on vacation. They think that this is a time to fly a charter, and it's a good thing, and we don't have any work, so let's go on.
Just going to the beach. You know,
Yeah.
everybody.
So that is what Ankit, we need to understand, and we need to drive home the message again and again. I just don't know why people are being so complacent. I mean, there is nothing to be complacent around. See around what is happening, and the numbers are rising only. I don't think. See, I mean, downplaying this virus and telling that is just a common cold virus, I don't agree with that thought process at all. I believe that we should take things very seriously, and we should not joke around with this virus. I mean, it's not a clown to play around with. It's going to bite.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the bite,
a very famous
you know
radio,
how
a very famous radio host who would say it's just like the common cold, and lots of people listen to this person saying that. And then we have a president who won't wear a mask in public, and a lot of people see that and think, well, I don't have to wear a mask either. And you say, keep the social distancing, but all the people behind him are shoulder to shoulder. So we're sending the wrong message again and again through our media. And so it seems like a simple thing when you say it, when I'm talking to you, but the message that we're getting is inconsistent with what you're saying. And we see it every day.
Jim, politicians, what I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to comment on the politicians, because I mean, Ankit starts laughing when I talk about politicians, because I mean, he has understood what I feel about politicians. I mean, I unfortunately have the scantest respect for politicians, because when I find them to be, even the educated ones start behaving like idiots when they come on these so-called debates. I'm sorry,
That
no offense meant to anyone,
no,
but I mean the educated ones also. I believe once you become a politician, then your education, you basically outgrow your education. You start doing it reverse, right? So if I am a doctor and tomorrow I get into politicians, the first thing I would request is, don't address me like a doctor, because then I'm a politician, I'm not a doctor, right?
True.
I will use all kinds of skills to, I mean, kind of buttress whatever my bosses want to say or what, right? So that is something, I mean, politics is a very different game. I don't even want to get into, I mean, commenting about that. But my only thrust is that, see, what you need to understand is, in America also you have a very good community based system.
yes,
You live in communities,
yes,
right? Now what you need to do, I mean, see, whatever the president is signaling or the political parties are signaling, I really believe that there are community leaders in every part of the community, whether they are religious leaders, whether they are socially acceptable leaders. Some are great businessmen, some are people who are doing well in medication, I mean, medicine, or I mean, the entertainment industry. You need to get those people to speak out. I mean, that's the only way of, I mean, driving the message home.
I
So
agree.
I believe that if America is a country which lives more on the community side, so you have a lot of community segregation. If the country is able, because see, ultimately at the end of the day, you will have 50% people even not looking at your president, because I mean they're not bothered. One, and one, they may not agree with what all he's saying. I'm not saying 50%, maybe more, maybe less, but there are a sizable number of people who don't take him very seriously. So
Yes, and
even if you have to sidestep him, even if his posturing is not right, that does
Yeah.
not mean that our common sense goes out of the window. Na? Our common sense has to be intact. See, we
I
have to
agree.
survive. That is why I'm repeatedly telling that it's very important that we understand these are basic things. If we are able to understand and drive home the message, I think our job is done. But if we are not able to drive home the message, then I think we are gone. We're going to have a long, long haul. Unless and until God does some magic, or the virus itself decides that, okay, I've had enough of humans, let me find another species.
Yeah, we're an inexhaustible supply right now, and but I love what you're saying about being community based, because we are seeing that as well. You know, it's not all gloom and doom here, because we're seeing, for example, governors, the governor of California, the governor of New York, have become very prominent people because they have taken commonsensical steps, and they have been um, become real leaders when the leadership is lacking. Other leadership, the mayors of Atlanta, the mayors of Houston, the mayors of many countries are becoming the leaders in their communities. And they are telling us, stay home, shelter in place. Do not go out on the 4th of July and light off fireworks. Stay home. And so that message is getting out in certain communities, but it's not, you know, all across the United States. It's here and there. And with a virus, a pandemic like this, it doesn't really help if it's only here or there. It's got to be everywhere if we're going to contain it. So we have to jump from the community level.
So we need to understand that, see, what is happening at the moment is, I do understand everyone is staying at home. They're getting frustrated by staying at home because people are not used to it. They were kind of used to a certain kind of lifestyle, which is not happening. But
Correct.
then we have to weigh our decisions wisely. We need to understand what is paramount to us. Is living paramount to us, or sunbathing, or going into to a beach paramount to us? I mean, there is the answer.
We're going to a bar.
Yeah. So that's
And
what
we
important.
and Ben from the UK was on telling us that, you know, you start at a bar, you start 2 meters, and then pretty soon you don't even know what 2 meters is anymore, and you're a meter away. And
Yes, it's not practically possible in a bar. How are you going to do that? After three drinks down, your hands will be on the other person's shoulder, I guess.
that's right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
rooting
Yeah,
for
so
the same.
where is the camaraderie comes in, then
And Dr.
we,
Tulad, there is one more article what I was reading on one of the newspapers, and it says that in US the distance is 2 meters, in China the distance is half meter, in Japan the distance is 4 meters, in India 6 meters. So every country have a different norm of how much
yes.
distance is social
So
distancing is all about. And I also
so
don't understand why they have different
so
different
I'll
parameters.
some things are extremely stupid. What you need to understand is that, see, I'll tell you how do we decide on this distance, right? Now this is also very objective. I mean, this is a very I'm giving you an objective, kind of thrust on
Okay.
that, but it's a very subjective phenomenon. So
Yes.
what they are saying at the moment is, I'm what I mean by they are is all these CDCs and these uh, people who are WHO and all that. So
Yeah.
I'm referring them specifically as these, because
Okay.
again they have also shamed themselves endlessly, right?
Yeah.
Because they, I mean, due to their previous action. So the whole thing around is that what they are looking at is at a virus which is going to spread, right? Now the question is, what is my sphere where the chances of the virus infecting me are going to be the greatest? That is going to be when I speak or when I sneeze, right? Now when I
Okay.
sneeze, the maximum burst of the virus is going to come from me, right? If I am infected with or in corona, or I'm a carrier of corona, right? Now if you're living, if you're in an environment which is an outside environment, the air factors and everything will also have a play, because the particles will be suspended in air, and you will. So I mean, honestly speaking, the further the distance is between us, the chances are the less we'll get infected, right? So places where they're telling half meter, 1 meter, they are all based on presumption, right? So I don't think there is anything known as a safe distance. This is just see, it is just an alibi created that this is distance, that is distance. But my suggestion would be to remain as far from each other as possible. So in a context to that, if it is 2 meters, it is better. If it is 3 meters, even or more better.
Much better. Yeah.
5 meters, even better. 6 meters,
Certainly.
excellent.
There's no
But the
So
magic
question
now,
again
number.
is,
now,
yeah,
sir, on that, I have one more question or maybe a discussion that
yeah,
I was seeing that policy on the aircraft, that what should be a policy and how people are sitting in the aircraft. Okay, and they said that no one will sit in between. That's fine. Okay.
yeah,
But what
sure.
about you are sitting on the front seat and I'm just sitting on the back seat? We are
Yes.
just sitting.
So,
It's
so
it's
I
just
mean,
like this
there is,
distance.
see, the problem is, one you need to understand is the air circulation within the aircraft, right?
Yeah.
So let's presume you sneeze. I mean, there's a contained chamber, though they say that, okay, there is every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the air, fresh air is released in. But what
Yeah.
about the 15, 20 minutes? So that risk is always going to be there. See, we need to understand that. I mean, that is why every advisory which is coming is telling that you should fly out if it is a dire necessity.
True.
So, I mean, that's common sense. I don't think there is anything, any rocket science. See, we need to understand the best sense is always common sense.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that is now, like, I guess, I mean, people, I don't know what they're doing and what they're thinking, but I will presume they're not thinking with their, I mean, sane minds on this. I do
I know
agree that
people
there
are
are
thinking it
there are
also, so
challenges.
everybody is
There
correct.
are challenges. Economic challenges are there, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying that everyone should sit inside. But what I'm trying to tell you is that people who can afford to sit in their houses, they
Yeah.
definitely should sit.
Certainly.
People who are
I agree with
hand to mouth, don't have a choice, then you can't say anything about them. But what they
you.
should do is that they should take at least the employers who under whom they are employed, they should ensure that they are taking basic precautions which are required.
I completely
We
agree.
need to be
And
responsible. That is what it is.
and same thing happening not in the aircraft but on the trains and on the buses as well, because people are
Yes,
sitting shoulder to shoulder, and
yes,
that's how you spread viruses. But what I've realized, Dr. Tula, is that I spoke to a lot of my people who work with me and who work within our family, and they are going to the native places. Mostly them are villages and modern towns and upcoming towns. And what they have done is it's a common sense that whoever is coming from some city, maybe Delhi, Bombay, because it's a small town. People know that someone is coming from Delhi and Bombay. So they have a dharamshala or a lodge house where they are keeping them for like 14 days, and after and giving them all the food and whatever it is they require. And if someone found positive, they are going to the hospital, or else you can now go back to the family members. That's
So
happening in
this is
India.
excellent. This is basic common sense,
Yeah,
which
basic common.
which generally governments did not see that coming, but then
Yeah,
people have realized and they've done it on.
yeah,
So see,
they've done.
ultimately, I mean, expecting governments to do everything.
That is what.
I
Yeah,
mean, we are being too judgmental on governments also. I mean, let us be very candid. I mean, if it was not much so much media glare, I don't think the governments would have been. I mean, honestly speaking, it's too much. It's too much asking too much from our elected.
and also, sir, what I realize is that we have to take a pen and paper and watch the news and give the points to everyone, because everyone wants their brownie points. Now they've started plasma bank. Now they're doing this and now they're doing that. But no one talks about the real problem and what is the solution, because it's been around 4 months now and we don't have a solution to tackle it out. I'm not saying plasma banks are against something, but there should be a proper plan to track it out. And now we are doing as much amount of tests as we were not doing that earlier. That's the state of the government.
So that is what still I would give it to them, that at least they're trying whatever they are trying, right? But then again, the responsibility direly and squarely rests on our shoulders also, how we are contributing as a
Absolutely.
responsible citizen also.
True.
Unfortunately, what has happened is as soon as the lockdowns are knocked off, I mean, I don't know what is the craze of people rushing out. I mean, I've seen people going in malls and all that. I mean, there were a lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly speaking, I mean,
No, no, I
you're
completely
not going
agree.
to die if you don't go to malls.
Yes, yes, yes. And malls are not that necessary for us. I mean, it's not that we can't live without malls and we can't live without
No,
food outside and things like that. But my concern is that why we are, playing with media right now, because there are a lot of things coming in the media and that gives a different perspective to the viewers basically, and they think that everything is safe, everything is okay. That's what the politics are saying. I mean, politicians come said everything is fine, and then on the other side of the news it says that now we have a spike of 20,000 people every day. So there is no balance of communication. Someone is talking about A and someone is talking about B, which is not matching it up. That is what my problem is.
so that is what see. The problem with politicians at the moment is, though I am no spokesperson for them, but the problem is what they're trying to do is they're trying to balance out the economics of it and their popularity on that. Unfortunately, PR activity at this time, I don't think that it's going to help anyone, right?
Yeah,
Neither them also, because
yeah,
if they get into this PR activity module, see, I mean, America has an election. It is understood that, I mean, their president and the main nominee against the president will go all guns blazing at each other, and everyone will use this pandemic as a, I mean, kind of tool in the election, right?
Right.
India also has a couple of elections coming up, so there is going to be this, I mean, jib jab, I mean,
Yeah.
kinds of jabs and salvos fired at each other, right? But I mean, that's what it is. That's the nature of the beast. You can't help it. But
Yeah.
what we need to understand is, I mean, my humble request to all the doctors also is that they should also be very serious on this, because I've seen certain posts from certain doctors also downplaying it. I don't think you should downplay this disease.
yeah. True.
This disease should not be downplayed at any cost.
Yes.
So, I
We
mean,
should
on
be
one
happy.
hand, you're telling, yeah, on one hand, we are telling that all is okay, you take precautions.
Yeah,
See, if all is okay, then precautions, I mean, see,
yeah.
it's a oxymoron. So you're
I
telling basically people that all is okay, but on the other hand, take precautions. I mean, how
take
can
because
that all is not okay?
yeah,
All
All
is not.
cannot be okay till you get away with this virus. I mean, either you have a cure for it, or you have a vaccine for it, or maybe you plump it into submission, or the virus itself decides that, okay, I've had enough with humans, I want to go.
yeah,
So
But
all is not okay.
there is another factor in, because as Ankit said, we really don't need malls. We can shop at home, but there's a psychological need for that. People need to be out and see other people. They need to be seen, and so when they say all systems go, people rush out, and
So that's what I am telling you, Jim. That see in a city, in a New York, it's going to be different, right? But then you have all different states, different councils, different neighborhoods, right? So I mean, you see, you need to work it around. You need to understand that you need to work around. It does not mean that you're not going to see your neighbor. You can,
yeah,
maybe you can have a word with him on from the terraces. Maybe
exactly.
you can have Sunday barbecues where you barbecue on your house, they barbecue on their house, and maybe you can just sit around and I mean have a chat with them from a distance.
From a
Yeah.
distance, we do that
Yeah.
now. My wife and I, we have our
So
neighbors over.
there is a lot of getaways. See, in India, maybe this is going to be difficult, but in a country like America, I don't think this is an issue.
Yeah,
Except
obviously.
maybe those very congested areas like I mean,
Manhattan, New York, maybe, but apart from that,
yeah. So that is
country that it's good, maybe, and you
the
have a big
countryside is
gateway.
beautiful.
You have a lot of places to
America
visit.
is a beautiful country. You see good blue skies there,
Yeah,
Yes,
good
but there's
grass,
also in income
beautiful countryside.
inequality, and the poorest people are packed together the most dense. So this is why we're seeing the COVID hitting those people that do not have the economic resources to have a backyard that they can invite their neighbors into and keep distant. You know,
So that
they're
see,
crowded.
but Jim,
I'm telling
you
you,
know
Jim.
that.
The biggest thing is, please understand, the people from the deprived class are also as scared. In fact, they are going to be more scared,
Yes, they
right?
should be.
And number, they will never go into this socializing thing because they know that if they fall ill, then they are doomed. So please understand, this thing is going to happen with more with the affluent class rather than with the deprived people on that. I'm not talking about the disease. I'm talking about their sense of entitlement because they themselves know that they are not doing financially well. Tomorrow, one of them falls ill, it is going to be an uphill task. I think the message to should go down to them very clear that I mean you should take it very very seriously. If
Yes.
they get this, if you drive this message into their head, I am sure they're going to take double the amount of precaution than what they generally are taking. And this, I believe, holds true for India also, because I believe the message is not being driven home hard. So, as Ankit said, that in media channels you have a diabolic thing going around. I mean, one hand they're telling everything is okay, the other hand they're telling. So, it's a confusing signal. You
Yes.
don't
So
need
I'll
to
tell
give
you sir,
confusing
what happened.
signals in epidemics.
So I'll tell you sir what happened once basically. So I was doing the show, and Roberto, one of our attorneys from Italy, he was there on the show live, and then my television was live on mute, and on Times now it says that there's a new vaccine which Italy launched, and he's from Italy. So I asked him, "Did you release the vaccine?" He said, "What vaccine? We don't know. We are still waiting for it. If you have it, send it to me." So I've showed them that we are sharing on our media that Italy have launched a successful vaccine, and he said that these are bullshit because everyone wants to talk about something and they are creating a news out of nowhere. Everyone is in a trial mode. I mean, there might be a lot of companies who are talking about trials and things like that. But until and unless we don't come out with the trials, why we have to talk about the vaccine every day? Because you are giving a lot of hope to people that it should come in next few weeks or next few months, and that is the problem. And that's why you know what happened in India. I don't want to name it, but something happened in India because of it's kind of a race going on that I will release it first and that person will release it second and things like that. So I don't know what is that
So
rat race going.
this is why Ankit, it is very important that we need to understand. Yeah, so we need to understand that see you may have a light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah,
but at the moment you're not seeing that light,
true.
right? So we should be see something is what is known as common sense and what is the situation at the moment, right? Why are we living in a fantasy world telling this is going to happen, that is going to happen? I mean, you
Yeah,
don't know what is going to happen.
true.
Can you or Jim or me sitting here at this moment predict what is going to happen tomorrow? So nobody can. So ultimately, if we cannot do that prediction, why get into this? See, I'm telling you, positivity is good, but positivity bordering on to fantasy levels and to eccentricities and those kind of idiocy is entirely different. I don't agree with that.
And
I do
without
believe
fact,
that we should keep people positive, but that does
yeah,
not mean that we make them,
Delusional.
into a Wayne's world where they're thinking that, yeah, that kind of illusions are not, science according to me,
and
and they're not in. I won't even endorse them.
I'll tell you one more instance. I think Dr. Tula knows about it. So there is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
medicine which I have asked Dr. Tula that is it for COVID or not. I won't say the name, but then what happened is that it got spread in WhatsApp University in India so much that the share price of that company goes up 40%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know that
So,
the share price of that company
yeah.
goes 40%?
So this is what the tragedy is, that we need to understand that, see, doing business, it's okay.
Yeah,
At the expense of a pandemic, now I don't know what to say on that, because I
yeah,
believe ultimately, I mean, ethics on, this is an absolutely different debate to talk about ethics of companies and
yeah.
all that. I don't know how ethical companies are and they are not, but I do believe that at the end of the day, the impetus is also on the doctors, that they should be sending the right signals to the community,
True.
and they should be in reinforcing these signals. Please understand, I as a doctor cannot say that this disease is never going to happen to me.
Yeah,
You've seen what has happened to a lot of our colleagues also. Ankit, you've seen it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So there is nothing like this cannot happen to me. It can happen to me. It can happen to anyone,
Anyone, yeah.
despite precautions also. Because you need to understand that it is a scenario where you lose sight of one mistake on your side,
True.
and if your luck is on the other side, you will end up getting hurt on this.
Certainly. And
Well,
also, sir,
I'm sure.
what I've realized is that over a period of time, we have learned a lot of about COVID and how to protect and things like that. But we are still not talking about prevention, because today is COVID, tomorrow may be something else. But if you don't prevent it, if you don't take the right precautions from today onwards, we are not able to save ourselves for future pandemic as well. So the precaution or the best practices should be
Absolutely.
carried forward for an
Yes.
number of days. Basically, social distancing should be must, and you should have your own mask. If you don't wear a mask in normal days, that's fine. But there should be mask for everyone necessary, because I think there are a lot of viruses and disease and also pollution level going up everywhere now and then, and the mask will protect you. Everyone have a mask for a mobile phone. Why can't we have a mask for ourselves?
Yeah. So that is unfortunately what the unfortunate part is, that, I mean, health was always the last priority on anyone's mind.
Yeah,
So this pandemic has basically woken people up from slumber.
yeah.
And if despite this also people are not looking into it and not seeing it, I don't know what will be required to shake them up.
Well, Dr. Tula, you live in India. I live in the divided states of America. You're a doctor. I only play one on TV, IBM TV. But what I see is that France, Germany, Italy have all got their curves not only flattened but lowering. And I see in our country that the spike is continuing. The rise is going like a hockey stick in the wrong direction. And I wonder what your thinking is when you can see that in other countries, them handling it, and in my country, we are not. What do you attribute
So,
that to?
Jim, it's not that all are not adhering to the plan, right? So I see a lot of Americans also who are very, very committed to. See, you are all Americans. You are American. Kim is American. Jim, you are. You are also Americans. Huh? You're any known less Americans than any other Americans, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
Nick, right? Everyone is an American, right? Now you are also, so I do agree that maybe you will be the 40% of population or 50% of population which will be adhering to the norms. So maybe there is a 20-30% population which is not adhering to the norms, right? But majoritarily, I believe that the Americans are also smart people. They will not get into this rut of, the politicians getting into the slumber and they agreeing with the politicians. I mean, they will agree with the politicians a lot on the policies and all, but medicine, I'm not very sure. Your country is very much dependent upon the politicians. I don't think. I mean, Americans are smart people; they know their choices well. My only thing is maybe down the line, what has happened is that, I mean, the communication to the people who are the most vulnerable, that is not going right. One, and the other thing, what I feel basically is missing the trick, where you are missing the trick. I mean, I'm no one to sermonize you on that, because I mean, India is also not doing that great. So honestly speaking, we are also floundering on a lot of counts. But in your country, what is happening is basically that people are believing this thought, that they have this in their mind, back of the mind, that this will not happen to me. So unfortunately, unless and until you get rid of that thought that it's not going to happen to me, you are going to throw precautions in the way.
But do you think that that's the case in Germany, that they figured, well, it could happen to me, and in America we're thinking
So Germany also, in the initial period, Germany also was not doing that well, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But then you see what happens is, Germany is a very contained. See, Germans. See, I have had the pleasure of knowing Germans a lot, right? So Germans are very different. They're a very different subset of people. I consider them to be one of the very different subset of people, because please understand. So if you know a German, you will know that it's a typical thing with Germans, that if you go to a German's house and you look at their lawn will be absolutely manicured. That means not one grass will be, if it is of 0.5 inch, all the grass will be of 0.5 inch only. So they are very finicky when it comes to this.
But then
Right?
what about the French and the Italians?
Yeah, so Italians were the worst hit, because the reason was the typical Italians are, I would say, they have a cultural thing which is common with us Indians also. They're also very happy-go-lucky kind of people who will like to wine dine a lot and mix up. They love that, their closeness and hugs and kisses with each other, right? And French are also somewhat biased on that. Now, what happens in French is that once they had the lockdown, and people have also started realizing that the social distances is important. So even their prime minister is giving out the right posturing. You see him doing this. He never shakes hands with anyone. So their posturing is also right in that sense, that they're trying to send home a message. It's not that they're out of the dumps. They're not out of the dumps at the moment, but they're doing fairly better than as compared to. And then look at the population difference also. Of course, there's a population thing also. So, I mean, and then they have their own challenges with a lot of asylum seekers who are not financially very well off. So there are pockets of that also, which is happening with them also.
Very true.
But then at the end of the day, every country has its own challenges. They're struggling. They will have their up days. They will have their down days. But there is a simple thing that, I mean, Jim, unless and until people use their common sense, you can't do much. Now, I mean, common sense is the basic thing. Three things which are required, you just need to do them. I mean, you'll the chances of your remaining safe increase. That is what you need to do. And I don't know what takes. I mean, what is?
You were just saying that the French prime minister was doing this, and he was leading by example, and maybe that's what we need in the United States.
Jim, I believe you people in America are a evolved lot, right? So you are much more better evolved when it comes down to this part, because you don't need leaders. You make leaders.
Yeah. Okay.
Am I right or wrong there? So I'm telling you, you make leaders. You don't need leaders. You don't need. See, some countries have a habit of worshipping their leaders, right? America never had that habit of worshipping their leaders. I mean, I've never had a person. I mean, an American friend. I have never seen an American friend who will be vocal. I mean, they will all be vocal about the presidents. They might like certain things about their presidents, but they will be equally. I mean, on the flip side, they will also tell that this guy didn't do this right, that right, right. I mean, more other countries always look upon their leaders and put them in pedestal, right? I believe only a couple of your presidents you have put in pedestals, and that too not fully. Maybe an Abraham Lincoln, I would say you have put him on some kind of a pedestal, or a George Washington. I don't remember any other president which you
And
have
that's
put on
it.
a pedestal, right?
Yeah.
So you are people who make leaders. You don't follow leaders. That's what the whole story with you is,
That's a
and that
big
is why you are
point.
America. That is
That's
why you are America. You are you're the best.
Help me out,
I mean,
Kimberly. He's winning.
well, and you know, a good point there when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, right? So, and I think that's our problem right now is we've not had one good, strong leadership to set the example, and I think that's, you know, some countries are doing fine, but it's kind of like the United States. We're so divided that everybody's kind of doing their own thing. That until we've united each other, and I think globally, we're not going to win this war. It's just going to continue eating at us because, you know, everyone said, yeah, we're all going to get COVID eventually, but that's not going to be the end of it. There, and it's just like a lot of the viruses that we have had in our past, like malaria, the flu in 1918. The flu we never found a cure for it. It's still here, but we learned to live with it. And, you know, excuse me, I have a problem with the vaccines because how do they come up with a vaccine before the flu hits? All right, anybody got an answer to that? How do they know what the flu is going to be like? Here, we're going to give you this shot in September. Make sure you get your shot in September because we know that October, November, and December, this particular flu is going to hit. How do they know that? So I just have a problem with the way all of this has been handled. I don't think that there's any one vaccine and ever will be. I think what we need to do is what Dr. Markowitz and you and all the other doctors, because I just spoke with him, all the doctors have told us build our immunity. Ta-da! Use common sense, like Dr. Julie says. Use common sense. I mean, you know, and here's what bothers me. In 1918, we discovered that if we wore masks, we would not spread the disease as bad. We would control it, right? How important is it to control when something goes like a wildfire? You know, yeah, so what? Not everybody's going to die, but the whole situation is you don't want to overwhelm the medical people. We don't want to overwhelm them with everyone being sick at one time. We want to control this. You know, I don't believe in the herd immunity. I believe in controlled immunity. Because if you control the immunity, then maybe less people, less fatalities, right? We'll be able to go back to work. I mean, maybe if we just say, okay, everyone in this area, we're going to go ahead and get you sick with COVID, right? And we're going to monitor it. We're going to treat it. Now we're going to go over here. I mean, but something more controlled because the medical people cannot handle the volumes that are hitting them at the front door right when it goes crazy. But think about malaria. Did they ever find a cure for malaria? No. What did we do? We learned how to live with it. We learned to identify when it's the wildfire starting to grow, and we treat it, right? We isolate and treat. Isolate and treat. HIV, did we find a cure? No. We learned how to treat it, and we learned how to live with it and how to prevent it. All right. But does it mean that people are smart enough to follow all of those rules to prevent it? No. But does it mean some people accidentally get it? Yes. All right. Malaria, chickenpox, measles, all of these things still exist in our lives. Right? So the same with COVID. I don't know why we can't be smart enough like we were in 1918 when they said wear a mask to prevent the spread. We all just put on masks. Because I look at photos from back then, and if you take a look, I mean, it's beautiful. It's not beautiful in the fact that so many people died. 50 million people died. But let me see if I can find the photos again. I shared them in the last show. Hold on just a second. Let me pull them up. But I think what's beautiful about this was everyone respected everyone enough not to want to get anyone sick. And everyone pulled together in the United States and in the world, not just the United States, because you can see in the world in these photos. But this is what people did. There you go. Easy, right? Everyone.
You even had street workers.
Yeah, I like this one because they do color and not color. I don't know how they do that, but here you go, right? You've got people signing declarations. This is church, right? We did not go in the church facilities, but look, the street people, they wore their masks. Okay,
And they have a hand glove as well, Kim. Apart from mask, they have covered the body completely to make sure that they won't contain or, I mean, spread anything out of it.
well, and wool, if you think about back then, there was a lot of wool products, right? And wool is very thick,
Yeah.
breathable. So, but look, even your barber would wear and of course, this isn't color, it should have been black and white, right? They're doing these coloration things. Somebody's bored and having fun, but but take that in consideration. The clothing, I think that's where fashions came from back in the day. A lot of times you would see where the women's clothes would get wider. Maybe it was truly designed for, protecting it, distancing, being distant. Um, but exactly, look, he wore gloves, right? I don't think they wore gloves because it was cold. I think they wore gloves because they knew it was safer. Um, and again, we learned over time not everybody knows how to manage PPE, so they might take the gloves off wrong and get contaminated. Wash your hands a lot. That was something else they learned back then. Wash your hands a lot. But if we take a look at history and use some common sense, like Dr. Tula says, and I like his idea. I always think about putting ice on my head when I get angry about something now. Um, but look, there was no second thought. No second thought. What do I do to save the world? It wasn't about me, it was about we and us. So look, nobody complained I can't breathe. People just put them on and did their job.
Right.
And that's the common sense, but common courtesy. And I'm going to get masks printed with "I love you." I'm wearing this because I love you. I respect you. Um, because I'm not being shamed to wear it. I'm wearing it because I respect you, and I don't want to make you sick if I'm sick. Why do doctors wear masks in surgery?
So there are three reasons for it. One is that we don't in surgery. What happens is, see, this is a customary thing which was happening for a period of time, because initially we started with the drugs which were used for anesthesia were basically ether. Now ether, if you know, it gives fumes, right? So you did not want to take the fumes, otherwise you would have passed out yourself, right? That was number one. Right. Number two was that we used to use those cauteries which had smoke coming out. So we did not want the fumes to go inside our mouths, and this was happening. Third reason was definitely a risk of passing infections to others, right? So we did not want to pass infections to others. So that is one reason. And the fourth was, even if some blood sputter or something came and it hit us, so the chances of contamination would have been. So I mean, this was just it's a kind of barrier which was sold in those days, and the customary practice has evolved and it has continued till the day. The masks have become better, lighter. Initially they had cloth masks, then we developed fibers and all that, so the masks have also come a long way. The
Yeah.
only thing what I really believe at the end of the day is, I mean, see, honestly speaking, posturing from politicians, I mean, if they do it, excellent. If they're not doing it, then what? See, I mean, see, you will have divisions right down the middle in a country, any country for that matter, any country will have political affiliations and divisions. Now, what the country needs to do is that make a basic common minimum program. You can fight your asses out for politics. You can hit each other for politics in the streets, no problem. I don't have any issues with that, right? Not that I am propagating violence. What I'm trying, but
I
the
get it.
baseline has to be straight. I mean,
Yeah.
health, you cannot have a different policy.
I
So I believe that that is the only thing which you should be doing, is that the health remains static.
Yeah.
Politics continues. Your barbs on politicians continue. You
Yep.
may be a Democrat, you may be a Republican, you can spar over that like anything. But health remains non-negotiable.
But our health is one thing, and getting that communicated is another. And what makes common sense and what the health professionals are telling us is one thing, and what's being communicated to people turns out to be conflated with all these different messages. And so people don't know what to believe, even though it's not rocket science. It's pretty simple, and it does come down to common sense. We are bombarded with different messages, and for me,
So my take here is that at least 2-3 basic things should be made mandatory, either by legislation or whatever, right? And that starts from neighborhood, because I don't believe a country. I mean, you will have political divisions, and one political group may have a different idea, the other political group may have a different idea,
right,
and both of them are never going to agree. It's never going to be this. It's
Right.
always going to be this. So it's not
Right.
going to be this for sure. So what the
Right.
neighborhoods can start doing their own system, that okay, it is mandatory to wear masks in these, otherwise we'll have fines. They can impose fines, or they can do one thing is that if people don't wear masks, try to name them, shame them, whatever the way it is. Because see, desperate times will require desperate measures. You need to you need to be very proactive in this disease. You cannot have a wait and watch policy, which I guess all governments all across the world are doing. They're having a wait and watch policy. Let's see how it goes for a week, then we'll decide this. This kind of knee-jerk reaction is not going to help us.
I
You
agree.
need to have a straight standard policy framed. Of course, the parameters of the policy can keep on changing, but your base work should be simple and straightforward. And the messaging has to be prompt and clear. You cannot have diabolical messaging, or messaging where you're conveying something but the message going across is something different.
But you're describing what's logical, and it's not what I see. Because the message in my state is consistent and clear. In my county, it's consistent and clear. In my city, it's consistent and clear. But if I go one state over to Arizona, it's not. It's not the same. If you go over a couple more states to Texas, it's incredibly bizarre what the messaging is there. And you keep going and over to Florida, and it's back and forth, up and down, and who knows what. So that's why I say it's the divided states of America now. It's not united. We're not all together on this. And I think these, if you go online to the family.dollarstore.com and buy these, it's inexpensive. There's no reason not to have them. And I think that this message should be just consistently stated by all governors. It shouldn't matter what state you live in. Everybody should be saying the same thing, but we're not. We're not hearing the same thing depending on where you are, where you live. So I know you can't answer this question.
I really believe that ultimately, see, over a period of time, people will realize, one, they're expecting too much that it's going to go away quickly, which is not going to happen.
Right.
I'm no soothsayer, I can't predict. But then at the end of the day, by the looks of it, it doesn't seem going anywhere.
Right.
The sooner we realize it, the better it is. And I guess good sense will prevail. I really believe that, humans are the most smart people, and if they start acting like the most dumb ones in the species hologram or the hierarchy, then I think we deserve it. I can't say more than that.
Are you
We really
invoking
deserve
Darwin
it.
now? Are you invoking Darwin?
Darwin.
Yeah, so supposedly we are supposedly the most smartest in the species, and if a dumbwit virus can outwit us, then I don't think we even deserve to be there.
Well, I agree with you, but we have a saying in Texas: you can lead a horse to the water. It's up to him to drink.
Yeah, but you can't make it drink.
So if they don't drink it, then they're going to die. And the thing is that people are just we can give them as much knowledge as we can, and I think that's been the big problem is media kind of took over and drove this. Politicians were driving this, not physicians or actually, honestly, infectious disease doctors should have been in charge. We should have, every country should have put their infectious disease doctors in charge of a pandemic, because they know how to deal with things like this. And proof of that is 93 Days. Watch the movie. It's one of the best stories, true stories ever about controlling epidemics. And it's free on IBM TV. It's free actually on YouTube, but we kind of pre-sort movies and put them on IBM TV that we think are good for people to watch. But honestly, it doesn't take, like you said, it doesn't take rocket science. It takes common sense. And
are you saying that you have to have 93 days to watch the movie?
No.
Sorry.
The movie is 93 Days.
It's the name of it. Oh, okay.
Okay. Danny Glover is a lead actor.
I like Danny Glover.
Everybody loves Danny. So it's not Bollywood, but it is a very good quality of acting. I just, what I like about the story is they didn't allow politicians to get in the way. Because you see them throwing their weight and they're going to know we're going to control this before it gets out of control. And
yeah. But Kimberly, we just had a senator this week come out and say, don't listen to the experts.
Which one was it?
Rand Paul from, what is he? He's Kentucky or Tennessee. But he came on, and he's a libertarian. He's not a Democrat or a Republican so much. He really doesn't believe in the Ayn Rand theories. And he's telling people, yeah, these experts are telling you to do this, but don't listen to the experts. What do they know? And that's the basic message. And there's a lot of people that think that. And that's one of the things about the rugged individualism that we're all born with. And the anti-intellectualism that's part of our culture as well. Is maybe the experts, like Barack Obama, man, he sounded so smart and intelligent. He was talking down to me. And so, I don't like that. I like a guy that talks like I talk. And
like a guy that puts you down, not
disabled people. Yeah.
But Jim, what we realize is that over a period of time around the world, that we have a social media power where anyone can come on social media and share anything. So we should have some kind of classes to make sure that whatever you are saying as an influencer, it should affect someone as well. Maybe you are talking something positivity to someone else, but that might affect to someone else. And people, because you are an influencer, you can influence anyone. And by saying something down or wrong, it might affect the society and the world, and especially during pandemic. So maybe there should be some kind of guidelines or special classes to make sure how to behave or how to share your views and thoughts in front of media, which is something very important, because in our society as well, politicians just join the show whenever they want, and they can talk about anything.
Yeah, I believe that, Ankit. That's how I live my life. And I also believe that Dr. Tula believes that. And he's saying that by influencing each other, by everyone that we come in contact with, we can have an influence on them, and that it will spread that way. Not top down, but from the bottom up.
So, Jim, it has to be inwards outward.
Yeah.
So you need to understand it has to go this way, not from there to here.
I agree.
Right? And America, mark my words, makes leaders. You don't worship leaders. That's the hallmark difference between you and a lot of other people. The other communist countries and all, they all worship leaders.
Leaders, yeah.
Judaism, and Dr. Phil,
that's very true. That's why we have a $1 billion question that who is the next leader.
But I think you made a very profound statement about the United States, and maybe that's our biggest problem. But Jim, you bring a good point there. We got senators who are discrediting valuable information out there. But this is me, right? If I want to do something, I'm going to surround myself with people who are experts in those things. right? Just like Sasha does it, just like you do. I'm not going to try to do everything myself. And I think that's been the biggest problem is nobody up there decided that someone else would be smarter than them. They all decided, well, I'm the smart one. I'm going to make all the decisions rather than sitting there going, I have no idea what an infectious disease is and how it spreads. I'm going to hire somebody to do that for me. Just like when I want to kill roaches in my house, I'm going to hire somebody to kill the roaches. I'm not going to go do it myself because I might kill myself doing it. Like Dr. Tula said, some fumigation thing, like even, the gas can kill me, right? So, you got to be careful. You got to be smart about these things, but I'm not going to go perform heart surgery on myself when I'm having a heart attack. Okay. I'm going to hire a doctor to do these things for me. So, and when I run a business, right, I hire experts in those areas that I need areas covered in that I'm not smart in. And that's what a good leader does. Okay. A good leader doesn't say, I can do everything and control everything and I have all the answers. A good leader hires those people. So either our leader failed to hire the right people to tell him how he should manage through the situation, or he didn't hire the right people, right?
Or he fired the wrong people.
Or he fired the people, right, who could have led us out of the situation. But if it were me and I were running my company and a pandemic of some sort hit, I would go out and hire the pandemic team. Even if I fired him, I'd call him and go, what is it going to take to get you back? No brainer. You put smarter people around you and you surround yourself with the people that are smarter than you.
Well, Kimberly, our country was founded in Philadelphia, and so I think Philadelphia is where we need to turn to solve these problems. So,
what's to say,
Lynn, look, I want Lynn to come on and tell us what we should do.
So what are you? So read that to us, Ankit.
I think Dr. Tula understand with the headline that what is sadhana all about.
There is a lot of comicry which is going around in the newspapers, Indian newspapers nowadays. So it is good comic stuff which is happening.
Yeah.
So
they say humor is how you engage people to think about doing the right thing, right? That's how they said that they used humor to make us think about vaccines. Okay, what is this? Rizzo's to 72. What? Ex-wife is second richest woman.
So the story going on is that Bios he gave around some $50 billion to his wife. And now he's back to, so the earlier high was 167, now it's 172. More than $5 billion what he was, he offered to his wife. So if you combine both the things, it's around somewhere around $200 billion. It's the combined wealth.
Wow. So, that people don't know the true story behind him is that she's the one who convinced him to start the company and she's the one who pushed it. If it was not for her, he would have never had that company. So
he'd be a great man.
So it just tells you that women are smarter any day. Always listen to women. Listen to women. Look at the countries who have women leaders at the moment. They're doing much better than men at the helm.
That's so true.
New Zealand.
That's why we have Kimberly. I mean, she's running IBM TV from the front end, and we are all the people behind.
Yeah.
That's why I have Nick. He's a lawyer because you never know what I'm going to say. When Nick and I first met and he asked me to be on the show, I was with my lawyer at the time and I asked Nick, what am I not allowed to say? Because I know how I can get, right? But here's the thing, Dr. Tula, you say something, and I had thought about, because you brought this up before, and I was thinking about that this morning. Why is it that women that have women-run countries are doing so much better and healthier? And I think it's because we give birth, right? And for the
I'll tell you. I have a theory for that also.
Okay.
So I'll tell you one. Definitely, women are more smarter. There is no doubt about it. I really believe that, right? Number two is they are more inclusive.
Exactly.
They generally have a habit of including, right? Number three, they will have a good decision. I mean, decision making discussion before they act, right? And with them, generally, it is not about me too. It's not me,
That's right.
I. It is always we. So generally,
Generally.
women, when they speak, is we did this, we did that. It is not I did this, I. So that is the difference which makes. And I mean, just look at the countries where women leaders are there. Look what's happening with them.
Very, very different. And I think you're right. And I think that we just have that maternal instinct to want to not survive ourselves, but to make sure that life around us survives, because we do give birth and we don't want to give birth and have our babies die, and have an environment where they're not. And if you look at nature in general, women, the female, they're always that nurturing agent. They're making sure the environment's safe for the babies.
Yeah.
And the father helps too. You know, the fathers bring the food. I watch it in my backyard lately. It's like really cool, right? The male birds go out and get the worms and bring them back, and the mama is taking care of the nest. But there's that maternal instinct. But I think you're right. We're more inclusive. And we want survival for different reasons, right? And but I think that it takes a combination no matter what. And it takes a combination. This is what I came up conclusive of this morning, is like minds, right? Because I'm with a bunch of different guys on this show, with Ankit and you and Jim, but we all have this like mindset. We respect people. We care. We are concerned about whether people live or die. It's not about the wealth. It's about we can recover wealth. We can't recover health. And I think, you know, all of these senators and leaders who were saying, well, it's just a few people are going to die, big deal. That's not the mindset you
We're going to
need.
get our hair mussed a little.
Yeah.
That's from
Yeah.
Dr. Strangelove. But I want to say that I've always, and I want to talk about me. I always tell men when the two most important words after I do are yes, dear.
Right.
And Lynn, can you back me up on that?
Dr. Tula, do you like that?
Yeah, I love Jim like anything. I mean, see, the smile on his face tells him that he's a happy man. And for being a happy married man, he has to really love his wife and respect her. And that's what shows on his face. I mean, you see it on his face. Every day when you see Jim in his new floral shirts, you realize that
Yeah.
And you know what?
that's what love
And
makes
Dr.
a
Tula,
man do, right?
and Dr. Tula, there is a saying in India that a good employee is the one who follows the rules in office as well as at home.
He rules it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you know what, guys? I got my napkins for the weekend.
Uh-oh. How about
Oh, she got bigger ones than me,
I
Lynn.
want to send some to India, so now that we can mail stuff if they haven't banned us, I'm
How
going to
about
mail.
your
You got
mask?
bigger ones than I did. I didn't
How
know
about your
that
mask?
large size.
Or
Yeah, there's different sizes. But
Oh, I ordered the small one.
My box came in today, so I got my box of masks. And
Yep.
Family Dollar Store.
that's right. I want people to know that, you know, of course, you know, I got to get my face masks. The other important mask, right? My face maintenance. Of course, we had a great person on the show the other day, but Dr. Tula, he can respect. I know that I want to take very good care of my skin and my face. And during COVID, it's weird. It's like my habits have changed. You would think I would establish even more better habits, but I've kind of went the reverse way.
That's
And
common.
is
That's
it?
common. That, you know, because we're facing new things and we're not reacting in the same ways. We can't have the same habits that we used to have, and we're not replacing them with good habits all the time.
Yeah, I know. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't go eating bad foods. I really stayed away from
Good for you.
the bad junk foods, and I really forced myself to buy a lot of more fruits and vegetables than normal. But
Good for you.
staying at home because I wasn't traveling as much, I told myself this is an opportunity that I can eat healthier for once rather than traveling all the time and depending on whatever food I can get my hands on. I'm able to control that. So I've been very that way good, but like all my other habits of, face maintenance and exercising kind of went out the door. And, but
Kimberly, I wanted to ask Lynn, I did buy something else on the dollar store, and I bought these. And what are they for?
Well, aren't those are they Velcro?
They're Velcros.
Yeah. Well,
I thought they could hold my glasses on, but they can't do that.
Yeah, sure they can.
Tim, I have an answer.
Yeah, you put them. Yeah, you put them on the sides, right on your ears, and then you put the Velcro on the top of the of your glasses. And when you put your glasses on, they'll stick to your ears and they won't fall. Now we might need Dr. Tula to be able to get the Velcro off of your ear,
my ear.
once you put it on, but that's okay. He might even be able to do a virtual operation to help you do it.
Gotta get the line out first, and then he can work on my ears.
I just want to chime in and tell you something my daughter often says about women, and she talks about the fact that both hemispheres of the brain with women are connected, and with men they're not. That's what basically she says. And therefore, it's easy for women to process back and forth from both sides. But with men, we tend to only process on one side. So I have to ask Dr. Ahuja and Dr. Tula, is that really true?
So see, there is a lot of difference between women and men per se, right? My personal, leave my personal thing aside, because I have always been a very great proponent for women, because I always believe that, see, it comes from the family backgrounds also. So we in our houses have seen that our mothers were always very, proactive. My dad was also, when I was growing up, we used to listen a lot to my mother, take sound advice from her. This continued in our families. So there is a lot of family thing also which comes into the cultures also. There are certain cultures where you don't listen much to women, and generally what I've seen over a period of time is that, see, you need to understand that women, leave aside the soap operas which always tell them to be some kind of conniving and some kind of scheming ladies. Yeah. Right. Generally women are much smarter. And I believe that, as Kimberly said, if you look at the other species also, look at elephants. They are headed by a female. And I don't think they do bad. I don't think they do bad at all.
So I think women are smart. I think that history books were written against us over the years, right?
So I presume it was a male bias. It was a bias, right? Because
and also, Dr. Tula, I think that there are more male historians earlier than female historians, and that's why little like
one reason. One reason is that also. See, there is a lot of things. History teaches us a lot, but it also tells us that what we should not be repeating or doing. Unfortunately, I've seen what has happened over a period of generations is that we read history, but we don't take the message out of that history. And we again repeat the same old mistakes of that history.
Yes, we are.
We do.
So we just don't want to. I don't know what is. So sometimes I really wonder, we are really that smart. Well, I now have started getting doubts upon the species itself. That are we a smart species? I think now I have got all kinds of doubts on the species itself.
I agree with you. I have to wonder sometimes where we're going.
Dump it. Virus has absolutely, spooked us out like anything.
Yeah.
This is why I tell people.
There is one conspiracy theory going around, and that is that coronavirus male or a female?
Female, we're in trouble.
Taking consideration, taking
that
consideration
doctor
of
said,
this.
that Dr. Sir will have to answer because I am out of
Yeah.
that.
Dr. Jack.
Dr. Uday, over to you.
Since we are talking about the woman empowerment, so I would like to, I would like to go with the same way only. That definitely it's a female COVID. COVID belongs to the,
That's why it's so dangerous.
yeah, it is so.
Well, it's
And
like
you
the
must have, yeah,
hurricane.
and you must be knowing the fact. The fact is the COVID disease is almost 2 times more common and more lethal in the men as compared to the women. So again the gender bias. Again the gender bias.
Wow.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. So we'll have to keep that in mind. I would have never thought of it that way, but yeah, that's a good point.
So that means I have one more question. So, if we use a plasma of a woman, would that affect more than a male plasma for a treatment?
No.
So Ankit, you will be very surprised. In fact, see, today I was going through the paper that what are they telling about. So there was a very interesting one-liner in that women who have given birth to children, they are not candidates for donating plasma.
Oh,
So that is what I could read. I mean, I think Dr. Ahuja will put more light on it. I just could read that only. I first thought that it's a misprint, and I went through it again. Right. So I don't know.
You're
I
saying
mean,
that
there must be some reason regarding the. So
woman
maybe
of
either they have.
childbearing.
childbearing.
Please,
Please,
please continue. Please continue, sir.
please, sir.
Dr.
Please.
Tula, please continue. Now,
So
I
I think
understand.
maybe I thought. Yeah. Please.
Go ahead.
Please.
That's
So
interesting.
what I understand from you is that you were telling about the women of childbearing age are not supposed to give the plasma. You mean to say?
Yes, that is what it was on the paper. If I'm not wrong, Ankit has the Times of India today with him, so he may be
Yes.
able to
I
read
think
that.
it's like me. He's got his book out.
Yeah. Okay,
Why would-
Dr.
in
Tula,
in that, yeah,
are you
please.
listening to me?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes,
So what
yes.
Yes.
yeah. So what I have listened to from you is that you mean to say that the women, those who are from childbearing age group,
No, who have
hello,
had children.
Have
Who have had children.
who have had children. Oh
Yeah.
no, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
That we're
No,
not
no.
supposed to give plasma.
No. I don't think so. It's in contraindication. The
So
contraindications
there
are
was some.
absolutely.
I also was taken aback with that, but maybe I'm not very sure. I think Ankit is reading that. He will have an idea on that. So
Well,
it
don't
was
believe
today in
everything you
the.
read. You can't believe everything you read.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
why would that be? Why would that be?
No, so,
Yeah,
so
we're all baffled by that.
it may be due to some antibodies regarding some. There are. See, when we give blood and all, there is also those antibodies which are responsible for certain kind of.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
I prescribe it to? It is related to certain kind of antibodies which should not go within women who are supposed to give birth to children. So maybe it is something that I'll get into that. Don't worry, I'll come back on that
That's an
because I'm not
interesting
very sure
topic.
whether I really read it that way because there was something to do with pregnancy. I don't know whether it was for accepting or whether it was for giving. So there was something to do with that.
Wow, that is interesting too.
Well, you do go through.
Pregnant females, it is understood. Pregnant females, it is understood. They will not be allowed to, give or.
But Dr. Tula, before you go, I wanted to go back to your point about history, because history certainly forms us, but it can also inform us if we allow it to. And we have to pay attention to history and learn the lessons that it teaches us. But we're not very good at it yet. I think that maybe these pandemics are life lessons if we listen to the lesson.
I agree.
And,
I think
to add to that female thing, I just want to put to you one
So
point
can
which
I?
science has also
Yeah.
proven. That is when a male fetus is born, that means a male child is born, and a female child is born. If you look at the survival rate, right, given that both are kept in the same kind of conditions, or let us say sub conditions, the chances of the female surviving for the first 3 weeks is going to be much, much more than a male. So
We're weaker. We're the
male
weaker
children
sex.
so they require more support during the early period, right? So that tells us that there is some amount of credence to the fact that, I mean,
That's interesting. That is. What do we find,
yeah.
Ankit?
So
Hold
what
on, I'm
was
going to make
there,
it bigger.
Ankit?
Hold on.
Yeah. So in this, what is written for the females, Ankit?
Yeah, Ankit, can you
I just
enumerate? Ankit, can you
can you
enumerate?
read
Plasma.
read
Ankit,
it?
hold on. Make it.
It says that you cannot donate plasma if you are diabetic and insulin. Your blood pressure is more than 140, less than 60, or more than 90. You have uncomfortable diabetes or hypertension with change in medication in the last 28 days. If you are a cancer survivor, if you have a chronic disease, and a woman who have ever been pregnant.
Wow.
So
There it
that
is.
is something which caught my eye. Yeah.
That is surprising. I mean,
But I don't think so. Dr. Tula, the article which I received from that is the letter from the LNJP, Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Hospital, that doesn't show that. That doesn't have it. I
So
don't know how.
this is in Times of India today, sir, if I'm not wrong.
today, sir,
And
today's Times of India, page number 2.
yeah, and this is with a photograph of the chief minister inspecting the. I think either they have written wrong or I don't know. I mean, they something has
Sir, you
been.
know that they know a lot of things which you don't know. So that's how they work. But on the other hand, Dr. Ahuja, there's one more news just beside that article which says trial on 400 patients at Lok Nayak to check the efficacy of plasma therapy.
Okay. So I'll tell you one thing: the plasma therapy is still the benefit of plasma therapy is still debatable. It's not a proven therapy.
Right.
It's not a proven therapy.
Right.
Still, the ICMR, which is conducting the trial, the results of those trials are still needs to be, published as well as to show to the public. Still, they are under consideration. They're not out right now. Even the NIH, US, still they have not said that it is a proven therapy. But yes, it has been shown to benefit of moderate to moderate patient. But still, we are getting treated moderate patient in terms of giving the dexamethasone or methylprednisolone steroid. We're treating it very effectively. We're not giving any kind of plasma therapy to our patient in my hospital, but still we are getting it treated.
And Dr. Ahuja, I have read it in a lot of American and European articles, media articles, and I think US is not doing any plasma therapy anymore because they think that this is not the right way.
Definitely, yes. I'll tell you one thing. What plasma is doing. Plasma is giving the IgG antibody. I hope you will agree to me that it is giving IgG antibodies. And what is the mechanism of ARDS or complication? It is because of the inflammatory response. Why inflammation in the body? When virus has gone after 10 days and body is getting short of the breath. Why it is so? It is just because of the inflammation. Inflammation is because of the rise in the antibody titers. And once we have the rise in the antibody titers of our own body, and outside we are further supplementing it with the antibodies of some other plasma. I mean, we are instead of making a uh, decreasing the fire level, we are promoting the fire level. So I don't think so that IgG of some other person at certain stage will be of helpful. Yes, definitely in the initial part when there is no inflammatory response in the viremia phase, it can be of helpful. But once the patient has its own antibody, I don't think so it's of any help.
So, Dr. Ahuja, I have a question that if someone wants to give plasma or if you want to take plasma from some patient, do you diagnose that patient completely because that patient could have a lot of other different disease or viruses or maybe something which never come out?
Right.
Yeah, I think that is the standard protocol. Whenever the patient who has been recovered from the COVID-19 and those who have the significant amount of the antibody titers of the anti-SARS-CoV virus, so in that patient, they need to go for the routine blood testing, which we do it on the other patients also, those who need to donate the blood. So like all the torch testing like toxoplasma, cytomegalovirus, rubella, and all uh,
Right.
I mean cytomegalovirus and herpes. All those viruses used to be syphilis, VDRL, malaria. all these tests needs to be done. HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. Otherwise, you are instead of treating one disease, we are giving this some other disease. That will not make any sense.
Right.
Yes.
And apart from
But,
the yeah,
but
please.
Dr. Ahuja, does that blood reports is acceptable, or do you need to have undergo more testing with that patient as well?
I
Because
think the screening methods, all the tests, all the blood samples are gone through the all the test of screening methods. The screening methods in our medical term means those who have very high sensitivity. If you talk about the COVID PCR, that has a very low sensitivity, 65%. But if you talk about the sensitivity of blood test, if you do it on the patient who are donating the blood, I mean, those have the very high sensitivity of more than 95%. The chances of missing the virus or any malaria or any other disease is very minimal. But yes, we do see patients who get infection after the blood transfusion. That cannot be ruled out.
And Dr. Ahuja, there is one more question related to that. We talk about plasma, and plasma is given just to create more antibodies. But
Yeah.
before COVID happened to someone, can we do those antibodies injection, or can we do some kind of other vaccines to make sure that we create antibodies and that person can survive with those viruses? Is it possible?
I didn't get you. Can you please come again?
So there are a lot of antibody injections where we can build a lot of antibodies in the body with vaccination.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what the trial has started by the Bharat Biotech recently. The idea behind that is that to generate the antibody by giving the antigen in a very small dose or in an inactivated dose. So that is the concept of the and vaccination by giving the antigen in a very small dose or in a dose which is less lethal.
Okay.
We inject to the person, we leads to the development of the antibody. Although that antibodies are not very high in titer, but whenever the patient come in contact with the actual virus, that cells get stimulated and leads to the development of numerous exuberant growth of these antibody levels in the body that will take care of our body. So I think that concept, with that concept, already all the countries over the globe have started development of the vaccine in their multiple phases of trial. I mean, the India has recently started the phase 1 trial, and I think result has to be published before of the 15th of August, I think.
Okay.
Here's
So,
my concern.
that basically, can we test our own antibodies, get it test through a blood test, and get to know that whose antibodies is what number,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
based on that, create more
Just
immunity?
just almost 15 minutes back from now, I received a message from one of my lab person that yes, we have started doing the lab test, who is giving the titer of antibodies of anti-SARS COVID virus 2. So that
Okay.
will be helpful, to know that whether I am being exposed or whether I have been been get got the disease earlier and I have been treated. But the drawback with this is it can be false positive.
Okay.
I have been exposed to n number of coronaviruses in the past, which are not as harmful as the COVID is. But that can give a false positive because of the similarity between the structure.
Right.
Oh,
The
wow.
spike proteins are quite similar in the other coronaviruses, and by that it can lead to the false positive reactions. And
Yeah.
if we take this test in a in way that we assume that it is that definitely I'm now immune because my titers are very high, that can lead to detrimental crisis in the later on, because I will not be using mask, then I will not be taking care of my personal protective equipment, so that can land up in the any consequences in the near future. One thing. Second thing is the recent study published in the Nature. It has clearly mentioned that with the passage of time, our neutralizing antibody titers, they keep on going down.
Mm,
They keep on going down. So we should not be assuming that the once we have the IgG, it doesn't mean that it is 100% immunity.
interesting.
And I have another concern.
Yeah,
Is
sure, sir.
say that you have antibodies in your plasma for COVID-19 1.0, and I get infected with COVID-19 2.0. Are those that plasma going to help me at all? Because the antibodies are not helping me with the version of COVID-19 that I have.
So I think, sir, there is more than 70% homology is there between the two viruses, the SARS-CoV-1 and the SARS-CoV-2. 70% homology is noted between these two viruses. So the proteins, which is the outer proteins, the called spike proteins, the leaflet proteins, they have the very quite similarity between these two. The only difference lies that the SARS-CoV-2 viruses, it attacks the ACE2 receptors in our body. Wherever the virus find that the ACE2 receptors are there, it goes over there and attacks. Whether it's the lung, or it's the abdomen or tummy, intestine is there, whether it's the brain, whatever it is. So it's gonna go over there and attacks through ACE2 receptors. That is why the drugs are under development. They are in the pipeline to target those receptors. Once we block those receptors so that the SARS-CoV virus cannot bind that can be helpful as a therapeutic potential.
But if it's that's good for SARS, and maybe that's good for COVID-19. But what if COVID-19 mutates? I call it 1.0 going to 2.0. It's a mutated virus. Are you saying that similarity is enough for that vaccine to cover all of those mutations?
So I think every RNA viruses, sir, has the potential to undergo mutation. You name any virus which has the RNA. I'm not talking about the DNA viruses like herpes, pox virus, and you might be knowing what over here, face, over the fingers. Those viruses are DNA viruses. They don't undergo, any genetic changes much. But yes, at the same time, if you talk about the RNA viruses, look at the HIV. We're not able to make the vaccines so now. But why? The reason is the same, that it mutates very fastly, very rampantly. Same with the influenza virus, same with our COVID virus. So those viruses has the potential to change the structure.
So that makes me a little leery of this talk about a vaccine. Because there might be a vaccine.
So you might be knowing the flu shot. So look at the flu shot.
They have a flu shot every year.
You need to go for flu shot every yearly. Why? The reason is the same, that the virus change the structure. The outer proteins of the virus, they keep on changing. The strains keep on changing. That is why every yearly we need to go to the flu shot. That could be the same reason the COVID vaccine could be a failure in the near future.
But flu shots don't cover 100% of the different strains of the virus. So you may end up getting a flu shot that only covers 20%, or you may get one that covers 40%. And then as you were saying earlier, when you're talking about by giving plasma, right? By giving, thank you, Kimberly. You're not as old as I am, so you remembered it. But by giving plasma, okay, basically you might be giving somebody else another disease. My former business partner ended up having Guillain-Barré, which he got from a flu shot. And in fact, back in the 1970s, Guillain-Barré was very common with people who got flu shots. So number one, you may get, just like with plasma, you may get some other diseases. But number two, it only covers, some percentage of what's out there with the flu. So I'm not sure why. I know, Jim, you say you get a flu shot. I've never had one. The only reason why my wife ever had one was because she used to do pet therapy at the hospital, and they required it. That was the only reason why she ever got one. And now she doesn't, because she's not doing pet therapy anymore, because now maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Dr. Ahuja, you're going to tell me that I'm wrong, that I should get the flu shot. But from my perspective, if it's not covering 100%, and there's a possibility of getting other diseases, just like you would get by getting plasma therapy, why bother?
So in that context, I would like to give a very small example, sir. So everybody needs to become a billionaire. But if you're not a billionaire, you would be happy to become a millionaire. So same with the flu shot. So since you're not getting the 100% efficacy, yes, I'm admitting it. Yes, you're not getting the 100% efficacy with the flu shot, but definitely yes, you will be getting the 70% efficacy with the flu shot. And one more important aspect of the flu shot is, even if you got the virus and in your body, the the intensity of the virus to cause harm in you, it will be very mild. It will be very, very mild. You will be getting mild fever, cough, and you will be recovered in 4 or 5 days. But if you don't get vaccinated and you are above 60 years, you are a smoker, you are diabetic, you are a heart disease patient, lung disease patient, the chances of getting complications are very, very high. So from my side, being an immunization specialist also, I'm an immunization specialist also, I would emphasize over here that yes, you need to go for the flu shot every yearly. Who knows that whether you fall in the 30% category that has no efficacy, or you will be going to fall in the 70% category that will have a 70% efficacy. So even at the age of 34, I am taking flu shot every yearly. I don't want to, because on daily basis I'm coming in contact with the patient of acute respiratory illness. Who knows whether it's a COVID or it's an influenza?
So you got to be careful.
We can't take a risk.
Well, of course, part of it is you're coming in contact with patients, okay, which I don't because I don't. I rarely go into the hospital. Knock on wood. Won't have to go in to see any of my friends in there, and I don't expect to go in there on my own. But I understand what you're saying. I have also known a lot of my friends who've gotten flu shots who have ended up getting sicker because they got the flu shot right after they got the flu shot than they ever would have gotten if they just simply gotten the flu. And I mean, some have gotten very, very sick. So,
Lynn, I will tell you my experience, which is I was like you and I didn't get a flu shot, but my best friend is the dean at Stanford. And this is his specialty, looking at numbers and probabilities. And his analysis said, get a flu shot. So I've been getting a flu shot ever since he told me that. If he's getting one, I'm getting one. That was my way of looking at it.
But it's some like I have a rare disease, and for years they because I almost died from all the complications of medications in 2010. For many years they told me not to get a flu shot. They monitored me, right? But I also refrained myself from going into a lot of public places, and I took care not to. But I have seen and witnessed people get worse. But my doctors explained to me a lot of times you'll get the flu shot, but you have to read the disclaimers on the flu shot. If you have the flu on the day you get the shot, you're going to get sicker. See, a lot of people don't know that, and it's going to take a while for the symptoms to catch up. But if you have the flu, or if you get it in that 2-week window after you, and this is what the doctors explained to me, if you contract it in that 2-week window after having the shot, you can still get the flu, and it could be worse. So one of my doctors, because I was very fearful of the flus, especially when the bird flu came around, and I asked him, why are so many people dying from just the flu? And he said the majority of the reason why people die is they wait till it's too late to go to the hospital. One, when they're getting really, really sick, and two is dehydration. He said majority of them die from lack of, and he said it is because when you, especially if you get the stomach one, you start throwing, you just don't do the fluids because you're going to throw it up. But there's ways to absorb fluids and hydration without making yourself sick, and we just need to get in that practice and learn how to do it. And that's something I've learned how to do. There's also a miracle anti-nauseous drug out there that the doctors will occasionally prescribe you that will like halt your, it's not good for you, but it will halt your body from throwing up like that, and you can rehydrate yourself. But they told me, and I it could be wrong, but they told me then it was hydration. So if you can just continuously hydrate yourself, if you get to the point of dehydration, to the point that you haven't had any fluids in you in 2 or 3 days, anyone's going to tell you you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because your body's going to. And when my son got sick and he was in New York, and it got on to the second day, I forced him to go to the hospital years ago. I said, you're going to the hospital now. One, because I can't be there, and two, you don't want to wait until it's too late. And again, and the first thing they did was hydrate him.
Yeah.
The first thing they did. So
Dr. Ahusha, I was also thinking about shingles, because
shingles is another one. Yeah.
at a certain age, they recommend that you get a shingles vaccination.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely. Yeah.
And so I got one, and now they have a better one. And the friend that I was just talking about got it, and he had a lousy experience the first day after, and so it's kind of made me a little tentative about getting the second one, which is supposed to be better.
Yeah, I tell you the reason why. Because the science is the ever evolving field. Earlier we have the vaccine, the name of Zostavax. That is the live vaccine we need to give through the subcutaneously under the skin.
Right.
But now we have the recombinant vaccine, which has the efficacy of more than 80%. In fact, I will say more than 90%. The company claims its efficacy of more than 90%. And it's a recombinant vaccine, needs to give an intramuscular and needs to give it 2 doses. And
Right.
that has the very good efficacy. But to talk about me, I'm waiting for that vaccine to be launched in India. I'm not getting that vaccine in India right now for my patients. But yes, when I was in States, I've been to Canada also for my training. In both the countries, it's available. But in India, I don't know when this company will going to launch.
But you recommend getting it.
Yeah, definitely yes. Because
I did last year. I'm very happy. It's a 2 series. You get the first one, and then you wait 8 weeks, I think it is, and then you go get the second one. So
absolutely,
I went ahead and did it. And that was, I had to get permission because of my immune system, and my doctors approved that one. They said that one that they could approve for me. So yeah.
If
you look at the agony of the heartbeat zoster pain for every patient who is more than 60, 65 years and has the underlying comorbidity, like mainly the diabetes one, and those who develop the shingles, I mean, you can't imagine the pain they undergo. And later on, the complications. The zoster activation, the complication, the post-zoster herpetic neuralgia, which is known as PHN. I mean, that is terrible. Patient claim that even after 2 to 3 months, they keep on having the severe, sharp, burning like pain. That somebody is burning under the skin.
So
it's better to have the dose of vaccine, and just small pinch, and you will get away from those.
So let me
terrible
ask
nights.
you, if somebody has had shingles, does the vaccination still help somebody who's had shingles?
Yes.
Well, yes. I'll tell you the reason that those who have the shingles, they have the propensity, but because you never know that shingle is a virus which is hidden in our cells. It can get reactivated. Suppose it is reactivated over here, over this part of the body.
Right.
It can later on get reactivated over this part also. You never know.
Okay. The reason why I say that is I had shingles when I was 18, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have a shingles or chicken pox?
I'm sorry?
You have the shingles or chicken pox?
No, I had shingles. I also had chicken pox when I was a kid.
Okay.
But it was interesting because I'd never even heard of shingles, and the doctors diagnosed me as having had it, and so it's interesting because I was not aware that if you've had shingles, you should still get the shingles vaccination. And I am over 65. I'm not going to tell you how much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how much.
Little.
I would talk to your doctor about it. That's what I did. I spoke with my physician. Of course, I have to. Anything I want to take medicine-wise or anything I have to review. with my doctors, and I think anyone should. But I would, because shingles is not, I mean, you've experienced it. It's not something you want to go through again this late in life. And I agree. I think I remember the doctors telling me, just because you've had it on one side of your body doesn't mean it can't activate on the other side. I think it was mind-boggling to people, who had chickenpox, and they're like, "Why should I have to get another vaccination or anything because I had chickenpox?" To find out shingles, it still lives in you.
Yeah.
It still lives in you after you've had chickenpox. So
virus remains inside your cells, and whenever it gets the opportunity that your immunity is getting down, it gets reactivated, and the moment it gets reactivated, always and always it's going to give you a complication and trouble.
Right.
That's the thing.
Okay.
yeah, no, and I noticed after hearing all of this, Jim's putting the CBD patch on his head.
Oh, yeah.
I got to take it again. Oh,
Yeah. Mhm.
But this is valuable information, and thank you for sharing
absolutely.
with us.
It is, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
These
My
are
pleasure.
things I would not consider on a day-to-day conversation, and I think it's very important. When they get the COVID vaccine, that'll be something that I want to evaluate deeply before I have to inject it, because of all of my other problems that I have. I have to be very, very careful. And what's weird is my problems are spinal. They're not like normal autoimmune deficiency problems. That I don't have any of those. My immune system is decreased because of my problems in my spine. So these are things, but I always tell people, ask your doctor. And if you don't like the answer you got with one doctor, go to another. And, that's what my dad said one time. He goes, eventually you go to enough doctors, you hear what you want.
Well,
It's quite common. It's quite common in India. Just like window shopping, we have doctor shopping.
Yeah, I like the way you do it in India, because Ankit tells me the whole family goes with you. So your whole family can be your advocate with you, right? Like they can be taking
Dr.
notes.
Ahuja would agree that if one of the patient would see Dr. Ahuja and get himself diagnosis, 5 family members is waiting outside, and then everyone will ask one by one that Dr. Ahuja, how it happened and what we need to do and what's the suggestion.
Yeah, we need to counsel each and every person of the family. We need to counsel, and someone from there is also known as America syndrome. What is America syndrome? The doctor from America will call to us. Yeah, hello doctor, I am from America. One of my father is admitted over there. My uncle is admitted over there, and he has the symptom of shingles. So what do you think? This is known as Western syndrome, America syndrome. The doctor from America will call to us.
There you go. I love it. So the American syndrome, and
I think you guys got to get paid more.
yeah.
But the
You gotta talk to everybody.
doctors are very, very patient, and they listen a lot more than they speak, and they know their work, and that's how they're saving a life right now. And especially the mortality rate in India is as good as in any other country.
Yeah, I think it's lovely that the family gets involved, because one of the things I learned when my mother was very sick was my sister and I teamed up.
Yeah.
But you mislisten to something, right? There's so much going on, and you're taking notes, and one of you is going to think to ask the right questions, right? So I think it's lovely. I think it's beautiful. I wish we would do it more often here. All too often, I'm going by myself a lot, by myself, because family has to work, and so whenever a family member gets very, very sick in my family, I try to volunteer my time to go with them so I can help take notes and learn.
It's so important, because if you're the patient, even if you're listening to the doctor, 2 minutes later you might forget what he said because
Absolutely.
you're nervous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not well and then they gave you bad news. That's not a good thing to be by yourself.
No.
And I wish our doctors would recognize that if they're getting ready to land you with some bad news, that you need to be with somebody, because there's nothing worse than to sit there and get hit in the gut, and you're a strong person anyway, but then you got to go home and explain it to your family, and you forgot, like you said, Jim, and you forgot half of what they told you, and all you heard was the bad news. So it's always, to me, I love the idea of take your family to the doctor with you. When Ankit told me that, I was almost laughing, and then I'll go, That is the most beautiful thing. Oh my gosh. We need it, maybe even if you could just hire people to go with you as part of your system. One of the things we're not going to have to worry about in America is they're revamping our insurance system, and they've hired doctors. They're planning for this. That we don't know about this because we're all distracted with COVID and protests and riots. So we're all watching all of this, that they're doing all of this in the background. So 5 of the major insurance companies have been selected. So they're going to be the power of our country.
Oh boy.
And this is, I'm not making this up. You could go out and research it. And they're hiring doctors so that you can't say, no, you can't tell me no because you're not a doctor, right? Because I've thrown that in their face many times. So they're hiring doctors to be on their staff and deny you. And they're going to do away with Medicare and Medicaid, and they're privatizing it, and it's all going to be converted into the 5 major companies.
So as you may remember, I gave this example once before about a fellow whose sister was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and she wanted to get a second opinion, and the doctors in the insurance company said absolutely not. She needs to be treated. We believe the diagnosis, and they're going to treat her. It would have cost over $100,000 to treat her. She got a second diagnosis anyway, which he paid for his sister. And the second diagnosis was she didn't have the pancreatic cancer. They could have paid $2,000 to $3,000, maybe $5,000 for a second, basically a second diagnosis that would have saved the insurance company $95,000 to $100,000, but they didn't particularly care. And one of the issues that I have been told by a number of people, because there were some big insurance companies that were headquartered here in Philadelphia, and I was in the healthcare business for a period of time. One of the big issues is that a lot of the doctors that are making the decisions are doctors who have never been able to make it in private practice themselves.
Right.
And so here they are not making it in private practice, and they're the doctors who sit at the head of each particular specialty, making decisions for the insurance companies. And your comment troubles me, Kimberly. That truly.
Well, the thing is, they're not making decisions for the insurance company. They're making decisions on your medical care. And it's not about medical care. It's about money. But they're going to determine. So they've never seen you. They've never met you. They never physically saw you breathe, heard your heart, any of that. And they're going to determine whether you do have cancer or not. They're going to determine whether you need treatment or not. And I don't think anyone needs to be doing that but the person who physically sees you. And if you decide to go someone else, the insurance should pay for it, just like they used to do back in the day, right? Back in the day, we didn't have any problems getting medical care. And if you wanted to go get a second opinion, you could afford it. But today they make it impossible. And that's the problems that we reside with in the U.S. I love the way India is doing it. I think we should follow that practice. I also think if you can't get family to go with you, there should be a team that you can hire to go with you to help you, especially if you're very sick. But yeah, we need to take a look at what's going to happen in the future. It concerns me. I'm struggling right now finding insurance. My insurance comes to an end, and it's going to cost me $2,000 a month.
Yeah, Cobra. Yeah. I was going to say that you're so right about the family needs to be there, but until we legalize same-sex marriages, the doctors would not allow your partner to come and listen.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
This has been one of the things that it's been a growing pains that this country has been going through to define family in a different way than the traditional way. And but I have to say that this conversation, the entire conversation, is making me hope that Rosie, the sock puppet Rosie, comes on afterwards, because I need some cheering up.
Well, that's going to be this weekend, and she will. I don't know if they're going to come and advertise today. We haven't. I haven't seen them this week, but definitely we've got great entertainment over the weekend. Sasha's got his chess show. You've got yours during the week to cheer us up. So these are not supposed to be sad information. This is supposed to be empowering information.
That's right.
Just
That's
like,
I gotta get my head on.
Dr. Dayton comes on and he shares this empowering knowledge that
Yes.
he can take with us and say, you know what, I'm going to reconsider that vaccine because he mentioned all of these great things that it can do for you and why it's important. And again, don't hesitate to discuss it with your doctor. But like my dad always said, if you didn't like what that doctor said, go to another one.
And Kim, I'll tell you one more thing that I'm talking to Dr. Ahuja regarding how to travel safely around the world post-COVID and what are the ways to get your vaccination done in different countries.
Absolutely.
So maybe down the line we will start a show with Dr. Ahuja discussing about it because right now we are not getting time to work on. Right now we are not getting time to work on that immunity app we discussed, but maybe we can start that and also talk about safety or how to travel safely because there are different species around the world and there are different viruses in different countries. So how you can travel safely and protect yourself and why vaccines are very important than other things. And I think vaccine is something which is kind of a prevention before it something happened to you. And if we have that vaccination done, I think we are safe. What do you think, Dr. Ahuja?
I think everything has a double-edged sword like action. So same thing goes with the vaccine also. What I believe.
Yeah.
I think the vaccines which have been developing these days, the modern vaccines, they have the more of therapeutic potential, more of effect as compared to the side effects if we talk about. But yes, at the same time, someone has to be cautious enough looking at the batch number of the vaccine,
Yeah.
what is the expiry date of the vaccine, and whether the vaccine is from the batch which we are receiving it. Are it they claiming any kind of side effects in some other group of patients? So these are the things
Okay.
which need to be considered. If there is some suppose a polio vaccine is going on and there is an outbreak of polio vaccine which is causing harm to the certain group of children. So I think
Okay.
those batch group of vaccine needs to be eliminated from the market. So those things are need to be considered. But definitely yes, vaccine play a major role. So far we are not getting a lot of infections since from our childhood. It's all because of the vaccination. It's immunization. So
Mhm.
that's a major role in our life. Same, the child and old people, they go in the same way. So both are without teeth, the toddler and the old man. So in both the conditions, the vaccinations play a major role. Whether you talk about
I
toddler
want
one
to add, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm very curious because I love the idea of vaccinations, especially for traveling. But what about testing? Are we going to have to evolve some sort of testing before we travel?
I think
but
so.
suddenly I think the with the advance in the diagnostic workup will soon have the good the concept of immunity passport is still going on. We can soon have the uh, checking of the neutralizing antibodies. Once we have the level of neutralizing antibody positivity in a certain group of individuals, those are can be allowed to travel, and rest of them needs to follow the all the precautions like using of face mask, using of the maintaining social distancing. These things needs to be maintained because those are the ones which are non-immune. They are susceptible population,
Right.
and those who are immune with the antibody in their body, they can allowed to go anywhere in the world.
No, I agree, and I think and I agree with Ankit. Maybe you can do a show that can guide us into how we can do international travel again, and also just guide us more on how we manage the infectious diseases that because there's going to be more than just COVID-19. There's going to be another outbreak of something, and everyone is scared because they're looking at November being another wildfire of what we have right now. And, I think that there's just some smart ways that we can manage this. I didn't get to talk about Lynn. Lynn, when I got kicked out of the show, did we get to talk about the dollar store?
Not a whole lot. Jim tried because he wanted to find out what was happening in Philadelphia, but
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 let's real quick. I want to share with people that I know that because Lynn is a great sponsor of our show, and especially for financial literacy. And the 5 important things is not about the money you make, but it's about how you spend it, right? But
right,
it's how you spend it,
spend it,
save it,
save it,
invest it,
invest it,
make sure you
pay
set aside your
taxes,
taxes,
and pay forward.
and they sponsor and donate money towards us from this month until the end of August. They are donating 100% of the rev that they're making towards Money Masters financial literacy Twix card. That's right, get your Twix at the dollar store. They've got 4,300 items. What's great about it is you save time. That's another valuable thing. You know, time is money.
Time is money.
So you don't have to travel anywhere. You save gas, and you also save yourself from being around a lot of people during the COVID outbreak. One of the things I am honored that they do.
Before we start, I'm getting a lot of questions from viewers that what is the cheapest item in, or maybe the costliest and the cheapest item on dollar store.
What is the cost of the cheapest item? Actually, I've
What
never.
is the cheapest and the cost of the costliest item at dollar store?
Well,
What's the cheapest?
I will answer that question the next time. I know we have a number of $1 items. I don't know what the most expensive is, but it's just sort of like reading the internet and going through the whole internet, trying to go through 4,300 items to find the most expensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at buying per item, I might look at the pins because you get a pack of pins for $1.
How about the Genesis Solutions? Look at that
The
one.
Genesis Solutions, if you're buying it compared to what you buy on Amazon, it's $60 on Amazon. It's $4.99 here. The same size, same packaging, same label. So, but these things are great, and you get all of these things at such a wonderful discount. But the Family Dollar Store is doing some fabulous things to help inspire people to shop smarter. And they're giving away some bonus points. So if you register between now and August, you get, I think, what is it, $5 worth of bonus points?
$5 worth of extra. We call them gift tokens, and it's like a gift card that you can use at the store. So something like you might get at CVS or Walgreens or Bed Bath and Beyond, a gift card, and people, we will give you already get $5 by becoming a customer. So just go in and sign up to become a customer. Well, that's you as a registered customer. But for somebody who's going to be new, they would click on the new customer, register, and immediately they would get $5 worth of tokens. But if you sign in, and this is interesting that you're doing this because, oops. Oh, well, anyway. So once you get signed in, then you're into your account, and maybe you got a wrong password here.
You can't be as old as me and not use your password very often. So I forgot my password. But
when you get in, here's the thing. Once you get in, you will have some gift tokens. You can give them to somebody else to as long as they become a customer. So if you accumulate enough gift tokens and you want to give them to somebody in your family, they have to be a customer. They get $5 worth of gift tokens, and then you can just send them to somebody who's a family member or a friend. But remember this, the most important thing that we're doing here is supporting the mission of Money Masters PBS, which is to be able to cut the gap between poverty and financial sustainability. So here goes Kimberly, who has forgotten her password.
Well, it's on my other computer, right? I shop on my other computer. I do not use the computer for shopping.
Yep.
And but the thing is that you can get your gift tokens and you can share them with other people, which I'm going to be doing, and Kit is doing, because he can't really buy anything and have it shipped to India. So he's giving away gift tokens that we have to give people that are watching our show to encourage them to shop. I'm going to be handing out some gift tokens to our viewers and encourage people to get out there and shop smart. And
Yep.
because but here's what's great. They got soaps, they got all the essentials you can think, and good quality name brands. And if you got people who have had a baby recently, do all the baby shopping here. They have wonderful baby items that are all name brands. One of the other things I'm proud that is that you guys stepped up to the plate, and we need essentials like masks. Well, you
Yes.
sell a box of masks, free shipping of anything over $25. You buy a box of masks, it's 50 masks for $25. And I'm just going to tell you, people, it's the same box that they're using at my doctor's office.
Right here.
Great
Right there.
price. Great price. So
Yep. And then if you apply $5 worth of gift tokens, then it only costs you $20, and you get those by becoming a customer. So and then every time you shop, you get additional gift tokens. So why not shop? It really is easy. And then the thing that once you get on your customer account, which Kimberly, unfortunately, you didn't do, you can take each of these items. Let's take the Johnson. Okay, click on that right there, and click on the heart. Right by add to cart, click on the heart. Okay, and you
I got to log in, but you say
yeah,
okay,
okay, and it goes right into a basically a line item which has all your favorite items in there. So if you don't want to go through 4,300 items, all you have to do is go to your favorites and shop through your favorites, which is what I do. So because
that way you don't have to go Google them all the time. So of course, if you go into my account, there's only one item that's listed favorite. I keep it easy on myself, and it's the Minion
napkins.
But that's the only one. If I got logged in, you would see that would be the only one I have saved. But it's so easy. You've got all abundance of supplies. I think even Jim reminded me that they have teeth whitener there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The teeth whitener gel, which is can be very expensive. At some stores, it's $25 for a tube of teeth whitener. So toothpaste, teeth whiteners, toothbrushes, all the essentials you need. And then they've got household items. I was shocked over all the household items. I bought a few. I'm going to test them out. But again, just save time is money. Get your items that you need. The CBD products, there's plenty. We're going to have to wrap up. It's time to call it a day. But thank you, Lynn. And don't forget, tomorrow is what? It's in the United States is 4th of July, right?
Independence Day.
Independence Day. And one of the things I do, I have this little bowl that I keep my flags in, and I throw all of my what do you call it? Fortunes for my fortune cookies in here, right? So I have a whole bunch of them. So whenever it's somebody's birthday or an event, I make people pull out of there to read a different, and I make them put them back in so I can always keep them. But here's for tomorrow. Do not wish to be anything but what you are, and try to be that perfectly. And what a great way to wrap up about business and health, right?
Yes.
So
yes,
I there like we go, that. Guys. Happy Independence Day for America. I know we've been celebrating other events. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us on Med Friday with Doctors. And tomorrow we have Spiritual Saturday with a lot of people who knows how to make yourself and change your lifestyle and be religious and spiritual. And we can learn a lot of things from them as well. So thank you for joining us, and it was a lovely show today. Take care, and happy Independence Day to US and to the world. Have a blast, and it's time to wrap up.
Coronavirus से कैसे बचेंगे? Okay, hand होगा. कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का.
And that's the wrap for the day.
Yes.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Kimberly. It's time to wrap.